I need that sports encyclopedia. Where you at, Steve Kim? Got Trent in the cut.
Coach JB.
Yeah. Where you at, man? In the gym shooting, I'm Durant. You ain't shooting John Moran.
Darnell is the Ball State legend. I'm the Warren Central High School legend.
I'm proving with a reliable source, straight from the mouth of the horse. Smitty and JB and Smitty from West Coast to Yost.
I love talking ball. It's nice to connect with guys that are like-minded and just are real and genuine.
Better stay in your lane. How did
You are fucking insane. Dude, what? You just will not give this guy his flowers. What is up? What is wrong with you?
Oh, you must have thought I was a bitch.
I am him. You's not it. What's the topic? With your logic when I flow. Big Komodo, how it's talking.
Gotta get back to letting the baby cry a little bit to see if they can soothe themselves.
That's a bar.
Issues get pressed so fast, it don't get sacked like bags and baggage. Smitty and Jason Brown killed it, yeah, it's a rap. We what the game's been missing, we switched it and filled the gap.
I identified him after his third fight, and I said that guy should be a star.
I'm so proud of the show, bro.
The gap. Smitty and Jason Brown.
Coach JB show.
What up? It is Free Game Friday. I am fired up, and I will be fearless right here on the Coach JB Show with Jeff Nadu today. Once again, we're going to bring him in a minute. Let's get started with the lineup and the show. We got a lot to discuss. It is Free Game Friday. Pound that like, become a member of our Discord, Slap Nation, and also join the winnable Slap Picks. As they are hitting, I will have my newest picks up today. UFL picks. Shaun King joins us today. We're going to break down some UFL football. Plus, the NBA playoffs continue today after last night's great 76ers Knicks game. I won't say the Pacers-Bucks game was a great one because it was a blowout. We're going to dive into that, but we got cappers from every sport joining us right here on winnable.com/slap-picks. So join us today. Shaun King does join us today. But let's dive into something real quick. All right. Another one of these so-called YouTube clout chasers has made another video of me. Listen, I don't care about making a video of me. But what I do want to make sure I clarify is that when you come at Smitty for basically being kind of an innocent bystander in all of this, and you come at him and start taking shots at him, and you have quite a few followers on your YouTube channel, I think you're a bitch. So clout chasing is something that we just can't seem to shake. When you become an actual public figure like I have become, whether I like it, ask for it or not, these so-called influencers, content creators do exactly that. Chase clout off of other people who they aspire to be or they need to talk about in order to grow their own channel, shows, etc. These are what I call bottom feeders. They create content that chases clout. See, this is how they build their following. See, my following as a public figure with over 400 million eyeballs on a show I was the star of is all organic. Make no mistake about it. I have never bought a follower, a like, or a retweet. This brings me to yet another clown on YouTube with a nice following who has made up lies regarding not only myself, but Big Smitty. See, if it was just me, I wouldn't care. I get all these videos every single day about me. But you know I can't allow this shit to go down. He claimed that I made up a cease and desist letter. I need you to hear this real quick. Go ahead, Bailey, and drop this
Charged with
real
these
fast.
8 felonies to 10 felonies. You were accused of impersonating a lawyer from the Cochran law firm in California, meaning that anybody who wrote the articles of your questionable trouble, you were giving them fake cease and desist letters from fake representations of lawyers and attorneys. You can't make this up.
Well, no, actually, you can make it up because what that idiot just did, by By the way, the reason that he has those locks and dreads that style that way is because when he bends over in jail, the motherfuckers can grab it when they fucking his ass. But let's make sure we stay on the point here. This fucking bottom feeder just basically committed what we call defamation. So I've already spoke to my attorneys. And by the way, when you go publicly and you make up lies, and you just said, I made up a fake cease and desist letter, which you couldn't even spell or enunciate, you fucking illiterates. You just committed something called defamation. So guess what? The same real lawyer that wrote those cease and desist letters now may be writing you one, you dumb fucking idiot. So good luck moving forward. But I want to keep diving into this. I had 400 million views on a show that I was a star of. This guy needs me to grow his show, unorganically, of course. Plus, he's bought followers because we looked at his channel. He clearly doesn't have the action that his subscribers says he has. But look, I can't let him go at Smitty. So if you go watch this video, he basically calls Smitty everything from Uncle Tom to a sellout. And I want to be clear here. He has claimed that I had 8 felonies attached to my name. Again, another lie, which is a suable offense. I now want to see, when I send this fake cease and desist letter to him, what he has to say by the same attorney who wrote the last one, by the way. See, this brother who claims to be pro-black defending Deion Sanders is an embarrassing act to me. Imagine another grown man defending another grown man he don't even know. Even if he did know him, it's almost the most embarrassing thing I've ever witnessed. I wish I would let one of my homies defend me to anyone by making up lies about that person. Bitch made shit. This pro-black brother who is willing to lie about someone he don't know to defend another guy he don't know, only to bash another brother in Big Smitty. Make it make sense. Hey, homie, you in the journalistic space now. You have a show. Stop lying on people's names to gain clout like a bitch do. You just lied on another brother in Big Smitty because, first of all, he only defends Deion on this show. Second of all, we have a real debate show with real sources, real opinions, professional ones at that, with real insight. You lie and come after your own, another brother like Smitty, as you try to hold down another brother like Smitty. Fucking shame. You a sellout, bitch boy. See, then you go lie on another motherfucker. See, you need to come holler at me like a man, but I bet dollars to dimes you won't. You won't. You want to make videos about me like a bitch does. See, you're a bitch boy, and we both know it. You would beg me not to slap the fuck out your ass in person if you ever saw me, homeboy. Recognize, I'm not an actor. You need to know, call someone and ask someone, because I'm sure you know someone that knows me. And I think we do know someone that knows me, don't we? And I think right now you're probably sitting there like, fuck, I need to take this down. I forgot that I thought JB was just an actor on Netflix. He might actually be a real one. Remember, we're all touchable, motherfucker, and I'll drop you my address anytime. Let's get to the real show. Pacers beat the Bucks. What a disappointment in Dame Lillard's first year. Can't wait to discuss this with Jeff. New place, same result. The NCAA antitrust could make $2.7 billion in lawsuits. That's what they could pay out. Kirby Smart, first coach to make $130 million in a $13 million deal. Dak Prescott won't face assault claims. Interesting. We're going to dive into that. Justin Fields floats around kick return ideas with the Steelers. Can he return punts and kicks for the Steelers? We're going to dive into that. The Chiefs decline a 25 option on wide receiver Tony, meaning they're not going to re-sign him. And Tiger Woods accepts special exemption for the U.S. Open since he hasn't won a major in over 3 years. The Knicks dominate. They wrap up this series, and in a very tight game. Jeff Nadu called that game specifically right down to the wire again. And we have the Kentucky Derby hitting us this weekend. We're going to break down that with Jeff Nadu, the co-host, the owner-operator, the CEO and the Sit Down Crime Pod, the former Barstool betting legend, the one known for his haircut and don't give a fuck attitude, the Albanian nightmare, Lancaster's finest, the one and only. Please welcome in Jeff Nadu once again. Clap it up. What up, what up, what up?
What up? What's good?
What's
You
good,
all right?
man? I wish I had my fucking soundboard and shit. I'm in the studio. I got to go get internet hooked up for the new studio today. Downtown, I got to roll out to LA and do all that shit. So let's get started right out the gate, Jeff, with the quote of the day brought to you by betonline.ag.
What up, man? The real Coach JB here for the Coach JB Show with Big Smitty. We got a proud new sponsor, of course, for the second part of the year, and that's BetOnline. Continue to be your number one source for all basketball wagering needs, including pro and college hoops throughout the year. March Madness is here. Join us every Monday and Friday with Jeff Nadu as we will pick them and up-to-minute odds, stats, and trends. You can follow your favorite team's path to the playoffs with in-game live betting, contests, and all the best player props. Experience the world's best wagering platform anytime from your desktop to your mobile device. Head on over to BetOnline today. Become part of the team and remember to use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for 50% off plus welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Peace.
Yes, sir. Let's start it off right out the gate with the quote of the day. The truth shall set you free, Jeff, but not until it's finished with you. That is just the truth. Unfortunately, it comes back to being a real harsh reality. It's going to finish with you before it sets you free. Let you be clear there. This fucking shit fuck boy who just made a video about Smitty and I don't care about me, Jeff. You and I get videos made about us all the fucking time. We don't give a fuck. He came after Smitty, though. As another black dude, because I'm figuring out, like, you're trying to talk all this shit about being pro-black and protecting brothers and helping them grow. And then this motherfucker's sitting there talking about Smitty on this show, but sellout because he's on this show and that he was with Whitlock on Fox. And I'm like, this guy's taking it personal for a guy that's never met either one of us. Because if he did, he would obviously not say that. You ever see shit like this all the time? I thought you couldn't share people's YouTube videos. They've been sharing my videos like crazy. I thought you got suspended for doing that.
Well, you should copyright him. That's number one. Because if he's using your video without your consent, that's against their copyright rules. And you can put a request in to have it pulled down, and he can get strikes because of it. As far as this happens to me all the time. The difference that I have is I'm dealing with people that, are psychopaths, quite frankly. I don't look, here's how I feel. As long as you don't mention my family, you talk about my family, I don't really care what you say about me. I've been called an R word. I've been called a rat. I'm not going to say the word. I've been called a terrorist. I've been called a chomo, a pedophile. I've been called all sorts of things. So I don't care. Say what you want. Just don't come with my family. As far as fair use, it's not fair use. Fair use is not a way where you can just use people's content if you say fair use. You cannot use other people's content without educating someone on, and you're not educating someone on calling JB an asshole. That's not fair use.
They even use my music. They even use my music, which is an individual copyright because my buddy made the track and the song, who makes songs for Snoop Dogg, and they grew up together. I had to get that cleared through YouTube. So I know this guy can't just use it, right?
Correct. And here's Kevin. Listen, Kevin, I'm not in the fucking mafia, you idiot. I don't know if you know that. I'm not a criminal, okay? I don't ever contend to be one. But if someone's using my material, you're damn right I'm going to contact YouTube, you fucking idiot. This is my business. This is how I make a living.
No
just
shit.
Like JB. You wouldn't know that because you probably punched the clock for somebody else. For me, this is how I make a living, and you're not going to disseminate it without my consent. It's that simple.
You know what's crazy? If I got it sent on Twitter. Somebody showed it to me on Twitter. Obviously, he's a nobody, this guy. And he's got what I found out, I looked through his thing, and Bailey and it's like unorganic. It looks like, because I found out a lot of these people are buying followers and subscribers, because if you look at their likes or their comment section or their video views, it doesn't marry up. He apparently has 200 and something thousand subscribers. And why are my videos and everything comments tripling his? Doesn't make sense. I only got 40,000.
Well, I'd love if you can, maybe Bailey could put in the private chat the link to his channel. I'll take a look at it. Here's the thing. I don't look, if someone's buying views or whatever, that's up to them. That's their business.
But if you get caught, you will be suspended or banned, correct? That's what I've heard.
If they can prove beyond a reasonable doubt you're doing that, absolutely. That's a hard thing to prove, though, because nowadays you can buy views where someone will watch your video for the allotted time. Like there's someone that, like, people that work for companies that will sit there and just watch videos. To me, that counts that's a view. They've looked at your content. I don't know. I've never done it. I've always believed in building organically and putting out good stuff. People will come. But yeah, if someone's and here's the thing about slander and defamation, as you know, you can make fun of people and you can't sue someone for slander. Like, I could say JB's a fucking dickhead moron. That's not slander.
That falls under.
But if I come out and say Coach JB is a child molester,
yeah,
then that's slander.
Well,
right?
Here's what it is. Here's what my lawyer specifically. This is how it works. If you actually have something that literally hits the, I guess what they call the actual court record books, as far as either a charge, an allegation, an alleged, something that you had to fight for your name for in the court of law. It's on legal record. And I was accused of something, falsely accused. I had to fight it. I beat it. Well, when you come out now and say that I had 8 felonies actually occur, and when you come out and say I wrote fake cease and desist letters from my attorney, which now you have actually committed defamation of character and slander, which is suable. So that is why I find it funny as hell, because you know why I know it's bullshit when these guys say this shit. I think that, see, back in the day, I was like, oh, snitches don't get ditches. Snitches get ditches. We'll deal with them on a separate note. We're not going to tell nobody about it. Nowadays, with this bitch-made society that we're in, that everyone's protected behind social media, what about this is, Jeff, that he now is going to try to make money off of lying about me. And I'm just like, no. Now I'm coming at your bitch ass because you're making money off me making up shit. And here's the cool part. We know he's making up shit, Jeff, because the motherfucker specifically went at Smitty, the most gray area, nicest human being. So when you're coming at him, you know you haven't done any research whatsoever. You're irresponsible as a content creator. And now you have become really, really, that's what pisses me off. So I just think you're a bottom feeder.
Well, from what I see from this guy's channel, I mean, all he does is just talk about other people. He has no ability to create real content. And this is the major dispute between most people nowadays, where these people call themselves content creators. Taking other people's work and just commenting on it, reactions, that's not content creation. Going out and creating something that is original, that's content creation. Some of these people, this is how they make a living. The guy just talks about other people. I wouldn't, again, unless he says something that's going to hurt your business, bro. You wouldn't believe the type of shit I have people say about me. I mean, it is what it is. But again, there's just so many people that just don't understand how things work. I mean, you can't use people's videos for shit like this and just get away with it. I would strike his ass for sure. But other than that, he looks like a bottom feeder.
Oh, he is. Let's dive into.
Hey, by the way, to this guy, you can talk about me. Feel free. Say whatever the fuck you want, bro. I don't give a fuck.
Contrary to belief, brought to you by Prize Picks. Speaking the truth is the most powerful tool we have. And I'm directing that straight at the bitch boy who made that video. Because here the thing is, he has not said one thing that's actually truthful. And the crazy part is we come in this show and we actually just speak the truth based on our personal or professional opinion. That is why I have professional guests on the show. If you haven't looked at who's on the show on a daily basis, I would love to see who's on that dude's show. Who is it? Monster Cody, as he fucks you and pulls your hair from behind, you fuck boy. So anyway, let's dive into the poll questions. Jeff, I'm going to dive right into it before we give you the rundown. Does Kirby Smart, chat, drop it in there. Does Kirby Smart deserve $13 million a year? Does anybody deserve $13 million a year? But Kirby Smart got $13 million a year yesterday, Jeff. $130 million deal. The highest paid college football coach of all time. Where you at with that poll question? You think he deserves it?
Well, of course. I mean, if you win, you're consistently the number one program. We know how difficult it is today to deal with building a program with some of the transfer rules, the recruiting rules, the NIL stuff. I think if you make money, you win. Why not?
Yeah, I don't know.
If I'm good at being a banker, I'm gonna make a bunch of money. If I'm a good salesman, I'm gonna make a bunch of money. So yeah, absolutely.
Here's the difference. Smitty and I argue about this all the time. He thinks you're worth what they're willing to pay you. I think there's a difference between earn and worth. I just think there's a huge difference. He has earned it. He has 2 natties, pretty much a 1%er. Him, Dabo, and Nick, I believe. Pete Carroll's out of college, so and then Urban is out of college. So basically, those are the only 2 with multiple national championships left. Well, and Saban's gone. So I think that they're making him the trendsetter now, and he's probably going to be the coach that goes down as he reset the market. He's going to be the coach that reset the market, and now I wouldn't be surprised if the next coach next year. I wouldn't be surprised if Harbaugh, if he was at Michigan right now, would have renegotiated and been right on his ass. I wouldn't be surprised if that was coming down the pipe. So now I'm curious to see who the next big name guy is. Because I'm be honest, Jeff, I've had this conversation, Jeff. Really, who's worth that money? See, I don't believe any of them are.
That's what I was going to mention. I mean, the second highest salaried coach is Dabo Swinney, a guy who has not won the national title since 2018. Again, I think it works out. Do I think Dabo's worth 11.7? Not at this point, right? But
that's not even including perks, what they get on the side, private jet hours, golf course memberships. You don't even know. I've seen these contracts, bro. They're insane as far as what they get. Their agents write shit in that you wouldn't imagine. I know I've seen Urban's, and it's like, I want my friend that lives in Florida to be able to have access to my private jet when he wants, like his best friend. So people write shit in their contracts with these big schools like Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia. I'm not mad at it at all. But let's be clear. I don't know. Think about the guys making the money, all right? I'm going to keep Dabo in the market because he actually has 2. And he actually beat Nick Saban doing it. I believe he's earned the right to be in that conversation to have that money. Kirby's won 2 in the conference with Nick Saban. Believe he's deserved it. Earned it. But let me ask you, in this current landscape, without Urban Meyer, without Pete Carroll, who, and Nick Saban and Harbaugh now, who is really worth this much money? Because if you look past Dabo, and let's just go north to where you are. And a good friend of mine, I've known this man a long, long time. I've had several titty bar engagements with him. We've shared many drinks. James Franklin is arguably one of the most sought after coaches when he becomes available each and every year. He did do a hell of a job in Vanderbilt and turned that program. He was the coach in waiting years ago when him and I used to hang out quite often at Maryland for Ralph Friedgen when the coach in waiting thing was a big deal. And then he gets Vanderbilt. Then he gets Penn State. He replaces a Penn State coach in Bill O'Brien, who had to have the daunting task of replacing a program after Joe Paterno's soap dropping incident. Where are you at with the next guy? Because James Franklin, to me, has yet to win anything and has not even really been close. Okay.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, James Franklin is a guy who, let's remember, I mean, Penn State has been a national power for decades. Okay. He comes in. What has he actually done? Right? He's never won the Big Ten. He's never won anything nationally. He has held the mantle and done what is status quo at Penn State for decades. And that's just the truth of the matter. He's never been able to beat Michigan. He's never been able to beat Ohio State. He has been a, what the kids would call, mid coach. You look around the country, I think Kalen DeBoer, if he wins at Alabama, he'll be worth that type of money because he's taking on the mantle of a legend and he's been able to succeed. Because everyone's always said, oh, it's Nick Saban. Okay, can Kalen DeBoer do it? He has a ready-made program, the top one. You look at a guy like Steve Sarkisian down in Texas. I think he's a guy who has taken Texas down from kind of, not the dumps, but, you know, kind of a laughability program to having success, getting to the Final Four. Dan Lanning as well. I think he's another name. But I think it's still a very questionable question. In a way, I really can't answer it.
Like, here's the thing, like
down the road, maybe.
And Lane and Sark are really good friends of mine. Like I think they're one of the two. Those two are the two best offensive minds in football. Here's the thing about it: they haven't yet to win anything. Number one. Number two, Dan Lanning, young, great on the upcoming. He has to win one. He's still very young in this business and has been under some great coaches in Nick Saban and Kirby Smart. He has to now win on his own. For me to get that huge amount of money, because I believe there's only two coaching right now that's actually won it multiple times. Willie Fritz, in my opinion, is the best football coach in America, but yet he's never been at a program that is even on a level to compete with those other schools. And now he's at Houston. We'll see what he gets done there. Yeah, but look at the things like Jimbo Fisher. Very, very, to me, he's underachiever. Huge underachiever. Mike Norvell, Florida State. I believe he has to win the ultimate prize to be put on that pedestal. If you go around the landscape of college football, I don't really see a lot of guys who have earned that big bag. Lincoln Riley definitely is one of the biggest underachievers out there and overrated guys out there. And there's a lot of those guys, by the way. A lot of those guys continue to get job after job after job in this country.
Well, there's going to be a lot of people that will come in this chat today and say that Deion Sanders deserves to make a whole lot of money.
Oh, of course.
I mean, but that's just, again, the big name, right?
Yeah.
Look, and I've said this in college basketball. Look, if your goal every year, at least most years, is to get the best recruits, Penny Hardaway's your guy. He always gets high-level recruits.
Yeah.
But do you win? Fuck all? No. And that's what, so far, Deion Sanders.
And we'll move on to the next topic, but I'm going to make a very controversial one, and my boy Zach Smith's not going to like this. Ryan Day, to me, is the most fucking overrated coach in America. You're at Ohio State. You haven't beat Michigan in several years, and you have yet to get over the hump and win a natty. And you're at Ohio State. You replaced Urban Meyer, who went 10-0 his first year on sanctions after leaving Florida. Like, Urban Meyer went 10-0 on a team that could not participate in a bowl game his very first year, but it's not even on record. No one even talks about it. And then he goes on and wins natties there and never lost to Michigan there. Or maybe one, I don't think he lost to Michigan. But anyway, maybe once. I don't know. I don't think he did. But then Ryan Day has continued to be hyped up as this godsend to Urban Meyer. And what has he won there? Nothing. Like, in my opinion, I thought next year, if Harbaugh would have stayed and Harbaugh beat him again and Michigan went on, I thought they would have fired Day next year if Harbaugh. But Harbaugh left, in my opinion, saved Ryan Day a stay of execution. I believe Ryan Day gets another year now because Harbaugh left. Because they're gonna say, Jeff, who are we gonna hire? Who can we get better?
But some of the great coaches, and I've always said some of the great coaches you don't hear much about ever. Like Kyle Whittingham is a top 3 coach in the country, makes $6 million a year. He's down in the 20s, the mid-20s as far as salary is concerned, right?
See, I brought this up specifically, what you're saying, with Eric Weddle. Eric played for him, obviously, at Utah and loves him to death. I love him to death. I think he's but he is the epitome of Utah.
Right.
In a fucking rural desert, mountainy range, gutty. Fucking dip. Go get it. Here's the thing. I don't know, and I've argued with Weddle. Weddle thinks he can go anywhere. I'm like, I don't know if he goes to an Alabama or an Ohio State. Does he have the same success? I correlate this or relate this to Mark Pugh at Gonzaga.
Yeah.
He had opportunities to go to UCLA, Kentucky, Kansas, and I think he made the right choice and decision by staying where he is and being the big fish in the small pond. Because I think once you become the small fish in the big pond, you get bit up until you're swallowed. And I think Mark Pugh would have fell under that at UCLA. I think Mark Pugh, because you can do a lot of things up there in Spokane and get away with it. I mean, this guy's got a DWI. I've heard he's had 2, and nothing's ever happened to him. You do that at UCLA and Westwood, and your career may be over. Like, I'm just saying, and I'm not even caring. People fuck up. But I'm saying the other things that you can do in recruiting in a Spokane versus a Westwood, it's going to be way overblown. Up there, you can hide shit. It's like me being in small-town Kansas, Jeff. If a kid of mine went out and robbed McDonald's, it is on every newspaper in that shithole town. If a kid of mine at Compton College goes out and robs McDonald's, no one ever hears about it or never will know. Just the city size and things. It's really perspective. It's kind of wild.
I think as long as you're not breaking the law, I think Mark Few would do well anywhere at this point, as long as he's not breaking the law and getting DWIs. You look at his counterpart, Tommy Lloyd, who was his recruiter there at Gonzaga. He's down in Arizona. He's doing a great job. But why leave Gonzaga? It's a national power. It's a blue blood at this point. They're always relevant. He gets kids to go out there and play. It's a beautiful place to live. And he makes good money. He owns that town. So why not? You know, why go somewhere else? You know?
Yeah.
You don't need to.
It's interesting. Let's dive into the show here. Want to get into this Pacers-Bucks game. Pacers dominate, beat them by 22. Let me just ask you, what does this tell you about Dame Lillard? If I had to ask you one question, Dame wanted out of Portland after being there his whole career. He never could really win it in Portland, never got over the hump. I've been a guy saying that we know how great on offense he is. He don't play a lick of defense. His teams tend to emulate him. They've all tried to be offensive guys. Doc Rivers takes over, tries to instill some defense, but it was too late. I believe Doc Rivers was set up for failure at an all-time high by taking this job, but he took the job. Dame Lillard, though, to me is just another guy. That's what I've been saying for years. I take heat for it. He'll never win. They were better with Drew Holiday. I think that was a huge loss. That's what I said on this show when they made the trade. And as last night was proven right again, that team needs defense. And Giannis don't play. Again, we could talk about the rub that I think he's on. But that's a whole nother thing. He always has soft tissue injuries. He's out. Dame is now questioning the city of Milwaukee. He doesn't like it. It's not good for his family. That's rumors, allegedly. He's came out and said that's not true. Stephen A. Smith's lying. All this. Where are you at with Dame Lillard and the Bucks?
Well, listen, I think that the main story that we have to make clear, they did lose the series, but Giannis Antetokounmpo didn't play. Okay, so look, if he plays, this series is probably a lot different. And it's just the truth. A couple of things they need to do.
Now, that real quick though, the Pacers fucking dominated them all year long with them.
Fair enough. But he makes a lot of difference. One of the best players in the NBA. Look, I think you need to do a couple of things in Milwaukee. You need to cut bait from Glenn Rivers, one of the worst coaches in the league. Get rid of him. He is a bum loser. Doesn't win shit. Cut loose. Get a real coach. Middleton and Lopez, I think we need to take long looks at them at this point. Maybe it's time to move on. You get a little younger. You get a little fresher. But look, I like Damian Lillard. Great scorer. Look, is he a winner? Look, he hasn't won anything yet, but he's been on bad teams. I like him as a player. Does he play defense? No, but a lot of NBA players don't. Comparing him to Drew Holiday, look, I like Drew, but look, at the end of the day, Dame Lillard's still a kid that makes shots, and it's one of the better guards in the league. Look, it's hard to relate just with this series due to the fact that Antetokounmpo didn't play. If he plays, I think the series is probably significantly different, and maybe we're talking a little bit different tune. Middleton needs to be held accountable. A guy like that, just kind of a good player, not a great player. I think you need to get a little younger on the wing. But yeah, I don't hate the Bucks. I mean, they won a title a couple of years ago. It's not like they're in the complete dumps. But a team that is the Sixers, which we'll talk about.
That's my point, though. Let me go back to the
build around Giannis and Dame.
They just won a title. Let's be clear here. I want to take the shift off of Doc Rivers, but yet why they hired Doc Rivers. I want to be clear here on this organization. Charles Barkley said it best last night. We continue to talk about how bad coaches are, that every single year we need to fire Vogel in Phoenix. They got swept. Darvin Ham in LA now. He's been there 2 years. By the way, it's his first head coaching job. You, as an organization, hired a first-year coach. He didn't force you to hire him. You hired a first-year head coach. First-time head coach. We're going to dive into the Lakers again because they may be doing the same thing again. But let me ask you, this organization wins a title with Bud and fires him. This is the organization in Milwaukee who thinks they're like worthy of fucking Kareem Abdul-Jabbar status. I'm like, hold on, man. You're in Milwaukee in a fuckhole. No one wants to go there. And you just won your first title since 72. Why do you think that you can fire a guy who just won a title 2 years removed and then find his replacement like this? And then you want to get rid of your defensive perimeter safe haven and bring in another offensive guy when knowing if my other guy goes down, Giannis, which he did, I'm down to Middleton and a hobbled Dame Lillard who plays zero defense. This is an organizational failure. And I don't know if I can just throw the book at Doc Rivers for taking the job halfway through. By the way, we forgot why Doc Rivers was hired, Jeff. He was hired because they fired a guy who was in first place again at the time. They fired another coach. Like, when is it ever good enough there?
And the grass isn't always greener on the other side in this case. I mean, they fell apart since Budenholzer left. That's just the truth. But look, when you clash with the star, they're going to always pick the star over you. Look, they have to make a coaching change. That's one thing we know. Do they look at a young coach, an up-and-coming coach like a Sam Cassell? Damian Lillard, he's given the proof of approval to Becky Hammond. Did she get her shot finally? I don't know. Do they go back to Budenholzer? Could they actually do that? They've fallen apart since he's left, that's for sure.
I wouldn't go back. If I'm Bud, I'm like, fuck you. You guys made your bed, now eat it.
Well, they may go with Dave Georgia. I think he was an assistant in Milwaukee at one point, something like that. They got to do something because he's not the guy.
Think about this, Jeff. Like you think about what you're saying. Like, in my opinion, like where has the game become? Like, what has the game become? Like, where are the big name guys? Like, where are the coaches that, we could go to back in the day? Like, oh man, let's go. We always used to want to go after Van Gundy, Phil Jackson. We had these guys that were proven guys that everybody wanted. We now are in cancel culture, which has caused a huge issue in professional sports, not only in football. I'm one victim of it. I never claimed to be victim. I'll never do it. Pro basketball, we have seen Mark Jackson get blackballed after blackballed every time a job comes open. They interviewed a woman over Mark Jackson in Charlotte the other day. So where are we? Is cancel culture and this whole, we've become a fucking mockery, man, in the hiring process. And now we're willing to go after some new booty guy who's never commanded a room as the head guy because he was on a staff by another guy. Oh, he was a disciple of Doc Rivers. We'll bring him in. He's never coached or managed. And then on top of that, Jeff, you want to throw a guy like Darvin Ham in a room with some people call the GOAT, LeBron James, who we all know coaches the team himself. So, like, why would you put a guy in harm's way like that? This is what these guys are doing now because of the cancel culture, in my opinion, on the outside, telling corporate sponsorship, we run you. Now do what we say. I'm confused because the Lakers are apparently, and I don't know if we have this video, but I found a funny video of someone on Gilbert Arenas' pod saying, have you not figured out that LeBron started a podcast with JJ Redick for a reason? Because LeBron wants JJ to be the new head coach of the Lakers. And then last night, I see breaking news that JJ Redick is possibly a finalist for the Lakers job already, Jeff, with Tyronn Lue. Wait up. Make it make sense, Jeff. A guy who's never coached ever, who's an idiot, who at first I liked, and now he's a fucking clown.
It's all about the friends club. You know, I like this guy, and I think LeBron ain't even going to fucking be there. What the fuck does he have any saying it for? He ain't even going to be there.
Listen to this if you haven't seen it.
You don't see the writing on the walls?
What is that writing, Rashad?
JJ and LeBron start a podcast. JJ says he wants to be a coach. LeBron knows Darvin's ass and his days are numbered. JJ gets hired by the Lakers. LeBron is still a player. JJ get to coach LeBron. They bring in Bronny. Podcast thrives.
They're still doing the podcast.
How does that not make no sense?
They ain't gonna have that.
How does that not make sense?
That was a good one.
Hey, JJ, look,
I don't know
gonna
if that
get you this
podcast
job.
will be going, though.
No, they're gonna stop the podcast just to have JJ coach the team. Who else will he trust? He trusts. Now you sitting there talking X and O's with JJ. How would you do this, Jay? Hey, Brian, how would you want this? How you want this done? Hey, I would do it like this, do it like this.
Play older than the coach.
Bro, they sitting there doing the shit that sells on TV. They showing us.
Right in front of us, huh?
Right in front of us.
Scout.
He coaching. He coaching JJ to be the coach.
It's right before our eyes, though.
Right there.
Like, they talk about the game like, yo, you know.
I would do LeBron. I'll give you the ball right here.
That shit sound good when you start fighting in there like this. It was JJ.
Any merit to that?
Well, here's the thing. And we live in a society where you don't have to, as one of your commenters says, is a good point, crawling before you run, where you have to put the work in, where you have to become an assistant, you know, do what you got to do. It's like coming into this. A lot of people think they could just come into content creation because they have a fucking camera and they speak. There's just a lot of levels it takes to get to a level of where you want to be in this and anything else. JJ Redick hasn't put any fucking work in. We don't know shit about his coaching ability. A lot of people could sit on the sidelines and say, I would do that. I would do that. What happened to putting the work in? Where's the credibility that this guy has? But we don't need that anymore. You just need to be friends with the right person. Life's all about connections. That's what we say. But again, you have to have some sort of panache or ability. What happened to putting the work in? It's gone.
No, that's why I'm so big and animate about the women thing in the NFL.
But hold on with the women thing. Becky Hammond has put the work in. She was an assistant for nearly a decade.
And I agree.
She's been an acting head coach, and not anybody. Greg Popovich's team. Okay, she's coached in the WNBA. She's commanded a room. Individuals listen to her. Her basketball knowledge is sharp. It's with it.
I agree with.
Don't get a fucking shot.
I agree with her being able to coach in the NBA. I don't agree with her being the head coach in the NBA. I just believe that's a huge rabbit hole that we'll never be able to dig out of once we do.
But if her name was, Robert Hammond, she'd have been hired already. And this is the issue. If she can coach, It doesn't fucking matter. People, look, the truth of the matter is Damian Lillard, a guy like that, approve of her. A lot of guys approve of her. Listen, again, this is where I get off the boat with some of you guys because it doesn't matter to me if she's a woman or not. Listen, here's the truth. My hair, okay? See this hair right here? It's very important that I go every week. It's very important that I get it cut the right way. It takes about a 45-minute cut. Now, my barber's a male. It's a Puerto Rican male. But if a Puerto Rican woman did a better job than him, I'm going. I couldn't give a shit.
Yeah, here's the problem, though. See, coaching is fine, but this is the player empowerment era we are in, Jeff. You really think sitting here that if I were to give you an inch that you would not take a foot? Meaning this, if the guys are out here, Dame Lillard and all these saying Becky Hammond, she can coach, she's great. You don't think they would love to have a person in charge that they can control and tell them shut the fuck up and do what I want to do? Becky Hammond's not going in there and slamming a clipboard, Jeff, and getting these motherfuckers to run through a wall for them. Let's just be honest.
This is where I disagree. And I've talked about this before. I think males are way, they'll take orders from a woman way better than a male.
Not in certain things. Not in a gladiator sport.
Well, related to my world, the world that I'm in. In Italy, this is a true story. In real life, there are women bosses of the mob. True story. They're effective. There have been studies they are more effective than men. Now, it will never happen here. I mean, you're never going to see on the corner, men taking orders from a woman because they're kind of put in your place, whatever. I don't disagree with that. I disagree with that. I think women, a lot of men are willing to take an order from a woman.
I'm not saying they don't. Like I said, I know Lisa Leslie. I've seen her in the Big Three. That's a 3-on-3 kind of a pickup game where she's a legend in her own right. She gets three older guys who have already been through the NBA. By the way, they respect her as a straight-up G because she was a player, and it's a 3-on-3. This isn't an 82-game stretch where I have 15 people I have to manage on a day-to-day basis and go on this daunting task of winning 82. I don't believe that they belong with men as in a professional sport. I believe they could be assistants, especially in basketball, not football, but in basketball. I think they play the same game, Jeff. I agree with. There's no difference except for the ball size and the athletic ability. So I believe the game, the X's and O's is the same. Women's WNBA to the NBA. The fact that the part I just don't like is that being the head coach of that.
But Becky Hammond has done that already, though. But if she had the resume of a male, she would be a coach already. And this is where I get off the boat. And people like 3 Natural Bio Nutrition, you fucking idiot. How the fuck am I displaying simp behavior? Because she's a woman and I think she should be a coach? I'm a simp? What the fuck are you talking about? She has the qualifications of being a coach, therefore she should be a fucking coach. Not that hard to understand, fuckhead. Pretty hard. It's pretty easy, actually. What the fuck are you talking about? A man's domain. Listen, I'm all for old school values and ethics. There's certain things that I don't think women should do. There's certain things I don't think men should do. I don't think men should work in a fucking daycare. Just my opinion. I don't think a woman should be a cop. Just my opinion.
Time out right there. You don't think a woman should work at a daycare? You know why?
I don't think a male should work at a daycare.
A male should work at a daycare. You know why, though, right? Because males, in my opinion, I'm the opposite. I think males should because we have lost hierarchy. We have lost the fact that when a woman controls a boy or tries to raise a boy, we actually think she can turn him into a man. I don't believe that's the case. I just don't believe a woman can turn a boy into a man. I believe a boy needs a man to turn him into a man. That's the only issue that I have with it. This is why when I see this today, I see these boys being raised by females, and then when it becomes time to be a man and do the things that men do, we are failing at an all-time rate. Look at society. Look at what's happening out here. Look at what's going on. And then we say, hey, go ahead, coach these males in a men's sport. That's where I'm like, what? It's like an oxymoron. Like, I'm like, well, it doesn't make sense. But it's fine. That's why I like disagreeing. It creates great conversation. Let's move on real quick, though, because we got a lot to discuss about. We're going to get to your Sixers. Before I mention that, the NCAA antitrust yesterday dropped that they could pay $2.7 billion with a B in lawsuits. We already brought this up earlier this week. We talked about this antitrust, that players may be getting revenue sharing, other things. $2.7 billion is a drop in the hat to the NCAA, who's been robbing these kids for life anyway. But do you see anything significant that comes from this other than more player empowerment, which I hate? Where are you at with that?
Well, listen, this is more your avenue than mine. But yeah, I don't safeguarding yourself against possible lawsuits. I don't think it's ever a bad thing, but yeah, I think you're enabling weak people to run to people when the going gets tough. Probably. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. 2.7 billion to me, it's actually on the low end. You know why? Because when my good friends sued the NCAA, where Smitty and other people, kind of got a small check, Jeff. I mean, this is a very small check. When you break that up into 16,000 Division I players, another 20 Division II, another 20 Division III,000, it becomes very diluted. It's a fucking small check. No one really is winning and benefiting big time. It's another way the NCAA wipes their hands clean. I think they're very calculated in what they do with their money. I think it's another backhanded slap in the face, or a backhanded compliment, I guess. And I think it's going to be like the COVID checks. They're going to all think, oh, we're getting money. Now you're paying it back, you dumb fucks. That's why it's like, I don't believe they understand. I don't think it's a good thing, but that is what we're going to be arguing that for weeks on this show, I'm sure, with other people. But I just don't see the $2.7 billion being a significant payout to any one particular. It's a huge kitty that's just going to be thrown out there.
Can I ask you, changing the subject, can I ask you a question about food?
Yeah.
So last night, I had Jersey Mike's again. Now, as a person who I can get a great sandwich here. I mean, we have great places everywhere. Jersey Mike's is insane. Like, it's mad. It's so good.
Oh, I know. I told you that. I got to meet the owner, the originator guy. Bro. Yeah.
It's insane.
He's a good dude. Yeah, it's a great place. It's a great place. You know what I like? I like that place. Do you guys have what's the other place? Firehouse Subs?
I don't believe we have that around here. No.
I like Firehouse Subs even better.
Yeah, I've heard it's good. I mean, I've never been one of these like chain kind of guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jersey Mike's is fresh. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah, I get the California classic, which is like a bacon, turkey bacon avocado. But yeah, it's good. And if you get the big one, it's goddamn like this big.
Yeah,
so
it really is.
You get for 2 days. The only problem is with them this is why I define the Firehouse as better. Only reason why. Because if you don't eat that big bitch at Jersey Mike's in one sitting, the shit they throw on it with the fucking oil and the goddamn vinegar, if you put it in the fridge, it is the soggiest, shittiest thing the next day. And
well, see, one thing that I've noticed is when you make a sandwich, you have to put the oil and vinegar on the bread. They put it on top of everything.
Yeah.
You got to put it on the bread.
Yeah.
Because the bread's outside will coat it and it won't get soggy. They put it on top, it just sogs down into everything.
I do agree, though. I did like Quiznos. Quiznos was far and beyond Subway, all that. But then they started folding. They started getting rid of Quiznos. I don't know. Do you even remember Quiznos?
I've never had Quiznos. No, I know what it is. We don't have it though.
I think they got rid of. Quiznos. Quiznos was fucking good, man. I love some Quiznos. I miss Quiznos.
Now the thing is, here I can go to any corner store and get a great sandwich, but and like the bread's important, and we have good bread around here, which is very important. But yeah, I've never had Firehouse or Quiznos. I don't even know if we have it.
Yeah, go check a Firehouse out, and then watch Road to Perdition while you eat it, since you haven't done either. Hey, let's take a 4-minute break real quick, Bailey. I'm gonna give me a coffee refill, and Jeff will come back and talk in your wheelhouse. We're gonna dive into the Dak Prescott SA charges.
Also, we got to hit the Sixers too,
and we got the Kentucky Derby.
Correct.
With Jeff to break down. We'll be back in 4.
The University of Colorado, your near and dear alum, had their first team meeting. Yesterday. They had their first team meeting, Matt. We're trying to be calm. They had their first team meeting yesterday. And the two spearheads and figure face of the show program, Shedeur Sanders and Shiloh, were in Paris doing a runway walk. Do you think this is conducive to successful behavior in winning a Big 12 title and going to a bowl game? I just want to know what you thought of the construction worker, Shedeur Sanders, and the camel wearing baby oil, Shiloh. Please give us your thoughts.
I'll put it like this. I definitely see why people hate Colorado so much. I mean, you're going to miss the first team meeting when we get back for a fashion show and runways in Paris, bro. I know that everybody at Colorado is going to get super pissed off at me for saying this, but I'm not.
I gotta help you. I gotta dive in and save you, homie.
I don't know what to do here, bro. Like I
gotta save you, dude.
Hey, man,
I gotta save you. I gave you the full picture. Bailey, you gotta cut this for Matt, dude.
No, geez, thanks for setting me up like this, you asshole, and making me. This is amazing. Get in here, dog. I don't do the whole fashion thing. Number one, it's not important to me, and team meetings are important, and I don't know the answer to this question. Anything I say is wrong. Everybody's going to get angry at me for having an opinion. If I don't agree with them that they should go do their fashionista stuff, then I'm a piece of shit. And if I do agree with it, then I'm a fashion icon or something. I don't know, man. I don't know what's happening. I don't understand the question. Can I plead the fifth? Can I plead the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Can I plead the fifth, please?
That is a fashion icon.
1, 2, 3, 4, dog, like I'm not a fashion icon. I'm not a fashionista. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. I'm super confused. I don't appreciate the question and how you set me up like this. And I mean, they looked good in their hunting gear, I guess, but I don't understand, man. What are we doing? Everybody's just going to get super pissed off at me now because of you. And you asked me this question knowing that it would just make me be super like, Smitty, man, what am I supposed to do here? What the fuck, man? What am I supposed to do here, man? This isn't cool, man.
Talk about being between a rock and a hard place. God.
I know shit, dude. Like, what the fuck, dude?
You hear Nat's voice?
You're asking me of all people, what do I think about the fashion show? I think it's.
Can we get this cut for vertical clip?
I don't know how to say this any other way that we probably shouldn't be missing team meetings to be in a fashion show. If we don't want to give everyone else ammunition to use against us. And then, like, look, I'm not hating. I'm not a piece of shit. I don't dislike Shiloh or Shador or Coach Prime. I don't dislike Paris. Fashion's cool. Pharrell is awesome. I don't dislike the fucking, who was he hanging out with? Off Take or Takeoff or that guy? Wasn't he hanging out with him too at a club? And then they were talking about, yeah, there you go. It was Quavo. Yeah, and he's
Off Take
up and you too much motion and they couldn't handle them, blah blah blah. And so like, is everybody gonna get mad at Quavo? I didn't say that. I didn't say it. I wasn't at the fashion show. I don't know. I'm just trying to wrap my fucking stupid white brain around this, and I can't do it. I don't know what to do.
Your brain's white. I thought it was pink.
Confused.
Hey, what did Takeoff say about him?
No, it's just, hold on. First of all, that's Quavo. RP to Takeoff. That's Quavo. RP to Takeoff. That's Quavo.
Hey, Jeff, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Is it all right? Sound all right?
Yep.
All right. I got a message to turn it up, so I don't know. All right, let's dive into this next deal, Jeff. Dak Prescott won't face charges. Now, this goes back to my Cowboy thing. It's always something with this fucking group. Jerry Jones has like 6 assault cases pending. This guy, he's got kids out of wedlock. If your leader and captain and chief is always fucked up, how do you think this program underneath you is going to be? This team hasn't won since Troy Aikman retired. This team is the same old shit every single year. It's always an excuse. Now you got this clown Michael Parsons chasing clicks on podcast who says he can average 20 points in a fucking NBA game. Like, dog, this is becoming like outside noise, and they never understand what the actual, like, how to keep my eye on the prize. They have no clue what that means. And this team is always distracted by some other outside noise, period.
Well, listen, in the case of Dakota Prescott, I think there's no evidence. And this is a simple case of a woman made something up in an attempt to extort Dak Prescott for millions of dollars. And I think beyond a reasonable doubt, the lawyer will prove that. There's no evidence in this case.
They dropped it. They dropped everything, I think.
Right. This could happen to you, me, any male in the chat. This is the sad truth of today. And what it does is it completely underlies the real fact of when someone does actually get SA'd, no one believes it because of stuff like this. This is a woman who likely met Dak Prescott at one point, and she thought, guess I can get a payday. Let me make it up. There's no fact behind it. I don't even address this because it's a shame this happens to people. And hopefully her extortion plot will be foiled and she will be sued.
Here's the thing. I agree 1,000%. And that is not my point on this discussion. This is what I mean. We have seen – listen, I've defended my players. I've seen this in person. Look at the kid for the Dodgers who's not even back in the league. Look at the Horiza kid at Buffalo.
Real quick, Coach, before you get into your point, let me just make one point. This is why it is very important for every male in America to make sure you do things when you're drunk. Make sure you understand what you're doing when you do it, okay? That's why when you come home to your house, have a camera inside your home to make sure you're protected against things like this, okay? Make sure when you go out, okay, you know what you're doing. Everything you do, you have to make sure you're very aware because you can put yourself in a bad situation. And before you know it, you say, God damn, why did I do that? Yeah,
and as a father of a daughter, I tell the daughters and the females the same shit. Like, I used to sit down, and Alan and guys in the chat who played for me at the time would tell you, I would get the female sports teams on campus at Independence, and I would talk to their coach, and I would say, hey, can I speak to your girls? And I used to talk to those girls more than my guys. And I would say, if these fucks come into your dorm room after curfew and you let them in, you are the problem. You allow this dumb fuck in. If this kid breaks into your room, obviously he's going to go to jail and he's going to be out this fucking team. So please understand, I don't allow women to come into men's dorm rooms at night after curfew. I didn't allow girls in my boys' rooms. So there's a difference, Jeff, as you know, you may know or not know, but there's a lot people don't understand. There is a difference between letting a female in your room as a man and as the man going to the female's dorm room in college.
But to me, though, there's still a level of, if I don't let anyone into my house, I don't have to worry about it. Because this is why it's very important. Like when you're drunk, for instance, it doesn't matter how hot a girl is. Give her your number. Give me a call tomorrow. Okay, you take her home, and maybe she's not as drunk as you. And she wakes up and says, "What happened again? Oh, wait.
It goes back to small head outthinking the big head. That's what they used to say back in the day.
Yeah, I don't want to be a part of that. So if you're into me, give me a call tomorrow. We'll go out and we can decide at that point what we want to do. But I don't understand some of these guys. They'll just take any chick home. And it's like, first of all, you don't know who the fuck she is. First of all, she could rob the fuck out of you, drug you, and take everything you have. All for a couple of minutes.
Or she's setting you up and there's dudes waiting outside your house.
And that used to that happens around. That used to when I lived in Philadelphia. That would happen all the time. You'd go home. You take a girl. She'd say, "Hey, I got a place." You take a girl home. She takes you to some row home that you think is her house. You walk in and you're fucking tied up, and they take everything you have.
I want to be clear on. I don't believe Dak Prescott did anything, but I don't know. Same thing with Deshaun Watson. All we can say is when there's smoke, there's fire. Deshaun Watson's case. This is, from what I understand, is Dak's first issue. But I've seen these many times. These females should absolutely be thrown in jail, in my opinion. Yep. But here's the issue I have. That's not the point I was making at all. The point I'm making is this is always happening with the Dallas Cowboys. This is the only thing I have to say, regardless of who's right, wrong, or indifferent. The Cowboys seem to always have this gray cloud over that particular organization that they just cannot avoid. It's similar to the LA Clippers. Always have something. Like something's – when Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith left, a fucking curse was dropped. I don't know what, but it seems to be there, San Francisco with the Niners, and right here in LA with the Clippers. Those three organizations.
I think you're being a little tough on the Cowboys. And look, I don't like the Cowboys, but what about the Kansas City Chiefs? I mean, how many guys have they had have trouble with the law? I mean,
that's my point. Yeah. I agree. And I brought that up before on the show. I'm like, these motherfuckers have the son of the coach. The head coach's other sons had, unfortunate mishaps. You've had coaches, players. I mean, it's on and on going thing. When they hit rock bottom, it's going to be a bad rock bottom. And that's just my point. Like, at the end of the day, I am a guy that believes in karma. And at the end of the day, when you keep robbing Peter to pay Paul and you keep playing guys because they can play over character, and that's what the NFL is. Let's just be real. Tank Johnson will tell you this is what the NFL picks. They pick player over character. Look at Tyreek Hill. Look at all the guys that we've seen on camera cock back and actually fucking strike a female and still play.
Well, Tyreek Hill is arguably one of the biggest lowlives in sports. He is a vile human being. He's a guy who, if you root for him, I have to really ask about your moral character. I have to really ask about the kind of man you are. This is what's amazing about sports is we will allow a fandom to overtake our moral and ethical values. Isn't that insane to you? This is a guy who we know for a fact he was convicted of beat his pregnant girlfriend up. His kid had a broken arm. Where did that come from, do you think? Do you actually think a common guy who's had domestic problems where you don't think he did that? Well, didn't go to court. Yeah, because he's Tyreek Hill. It's not hard to understand. This guy is a complete lowlife.
Yeah, it's wild. Totally. It's wild.
But, Coach, would you ever allow a team, a fan, not that you're a fan or anything, but would you ever allow a fandom to say, I'm going to root for that guy? If Tyreek Hill came to a team that I'd root for, how can you support that?
I couldn't. That's what. See, I've never been a LeBron guy. I hated when he came to the Lakers. So it's like, fuck, man. And when you have a kid, Jeff, it's even times 10. Like I got a daughter, and that's why I never took those kids to Independence or any other school I've ever been at. Plus, I had a female boss. I have a daughter. I respect women, contrary to the belief that I don't want a woman coaching, so I'm an asshole. No, I actually respect women. I would not let my daughter come around an NFL locker room. Are you fucking crazy? This is why the women that coach or want to coach, no offense to Becky Hammond, she's not actually the most fucking feminine club goer I've ever seen. Let's just be real. I don't know how she'll look in fucking pumps in a goddamn tight dress. It's the manliest looking females on planet Earth who want to coach. Why aren't we seeing baby girl trying to go coach the fucking Colts? Why aren't we seeing that? See, when I see that, and that's when I'll start to say, you know what? I don't mind women coaches in the NFL. But until I see that, Jeff, when the motherfucking broad wants to coach who's interviewing is in her suit and it's ripping her fucking shoulders out because she's so swole, I have a fucking fundamental issue. Like, this is what we're seeing. And this is why I don't like watching MMA and females box. I don't want to see it. First of all, most of them look like men. Second of all, no offense to them, but I'm just saying. Second of all, if you do look fine as fuck and you're beautiful and you come home to me with a fucking face that looks like Mike Tyson just took you out around the back, I don't want to fucking date you no more either.
See, I have to say, I don't mind a girl that'll get down and dirty for something. Down
and dirty with in public's one thing, Jeff. But doing it professionally and coming home with dirty feet and black eyes.
Yeah, it's almost the level of, I just wouldn't want, you're right. I wouldn't want my wife coming home, all beat up and bruised. That will bother me. Who did that to you? Again, I also wouldn't want my wife being fucked on camera every day either. There's a lot of things I wouldn't want my wife doing. I would prefer my wife just stay home and do what she want to do and cook and clean and go get her nails done. That's what I want out of life. That's just my opinion. Might not be yours. But case in point with this woman, she should be charged with extortion and she should go to jail because this is wrong. And what it does is, again, it devalues every other woman that actually is SA'd. Okay, that's the truth.
Shout out to the state of Arkansas, the state of Alabama. A few other states have come out and they have said to Joe Biden, fuck your Title IX rules and laws. This was put in 1972 for a reason. See, this is the crazy part, Jeff. I defend real women for what real women should be defended for. But when I say that they shouldn't coach, I'm a womanizer. I'm an asshole.
You're a misogynist.
Homie, I'm defending women at all-time costs. I don't want you fucked with, ladies. But I'm the asshole because I'm the one that says men should not be able to pull their dick out in the public restroom around a female. But guess what? No, then I'm the asshole? Wait, what am I? Am I the one defending the women? Or am I the one that's an asshole because I want some weirdo fuck to change around my daughter? I want some weirdo fuck with flipper-sized feet to race my daughter in swimming. I want some weirdo fuck to go wrestle my daughter in a wrestling match. And I want some weirdo fuck to go out there and out shot put and throw the discus versus my fucking biological daughter. Yeah, make it make sense. I don't know if you've heard the latest story, Jeff, but 5 females said fuck you to a trans that came out and tried to compete against them.
I saw that.
Yeah. They were suspended. Those 5 girls were suspended from further participating in athletics at the school. How fucking upside down are we? Inside, maybe we're inside out. I don't know what's going on. But now, I don't know if you saw last night, those 5 actually sued in they got a what's called a writ of stay, which is a very quick executed law of filing, and they won. So shout out. I'm glad that we still have some good people, good judges, and good people out there in the judicial system upholding the actual rights of women and what they stand for. I just don't understand how ass backwards we are. We rather defend and promote a female who looks like a dude to coach men rather than defend a biological man competing versus a biological woman in sports? Make that fucking make sense. This is why the all-inclusive, inclusionary time period that we are in is ruining the fabric of America. Period. That's why I'm so against this inclusion thing. That's why I'm against the woman. That's why I'm coaching men. This is why I'm against it. It's just because when you give an inch, Jeff, it's going to become a foot. Once the woman gets in there, then there will be a woman playing on your NFL's favorite team, Jeff. You're going to have a female playing for the Eagles, Jeff, and then you're going to be like, what the fuck are we doing? You're going to look back at this time and say, fuck, JB's been telling Smitty this shit. JB's been telling Jeff this shit. We stack shit up, and it ends up being true, and that's what we're doing. We're easing it in. Look at it's flag football, Jeff, right now in the Pro Bowl. And look at now we've had 9 states in our union adopt women's flag football leagues in high school as a sport. As a sanctioned sport, we have female flag football. Just wait. Just wait. It's coming, man.
See, this is where, like, who cares? Like, good for them. Like, why does that bother you so much, though? I don't get it.
Well, that you must not have heard anything I said. That's my point.
But no, I did. But again, like, if a woman, like, I've seen women going out and playing. Like, did you have an issue with the lingerie football league? No, it was hot. It's hot women.
But let me flip that. I think it's a slap in the women's face. I think it's
so are strip clubs. But you go to them, right?
That's what I'm saying. I think it's a slap in your face, though, to promote it as saying this is a real football league. That's why women should coach. That's the fight back I get, Jeff. No, it's not a real football league. It is a lingerie league that is sexualizing women to be naked.
But they decide to play in. They willingly want to be a part of it.
I have no issue with it. That's my thing. But don't use that as your league of experience to get a head coaching job in the NFL.
Sure.
No, but that's what they're doing. That's my whole argument with this. I'm with you on all your shit. I'm saying this is the experience leagues they're using to get a job interview in the NFL. A lingerie fucking league or a women's tackle league that is performed by lawyers, doctors, and cops. Because listen, I fuck with a few. I know some females that played in a real tackle league. My buddy was the head coach for one.
Let me ask you though, have you ever seen that film Little Giants?
Yes, love it.
What about if the kid was like Icebox, the girl? She was like a great player. She was like just better than everyone else.
Listen,
what if they were like that?
Have you seen Remember the Titans?
Sure, of course.
Okay, so the daughter in the show, right?
No, it's a film. I get it. I'm just saying, what if in real life you're on a high school campus and you see this person hitting? Like, I get her movies, but what if you see a kid hitting? They're burying people. You find out it's a woman. Would it make it any less fact that she's good?
No, because I actually know this and study it, Jeff. This is what I mean. Back in the day, the fastest girl in California, the fastest person in California when we were in elementary school was a girl.
Right.
Her name was Elaine Small. I grew up with her whole family. That's why I know the name. She went to Hershey, Pennsylvania, which is the biggest track event every year. Every year, there's a huge thing in Hershey. You're invited, the fastest people in the country. She won Hershey 3 times. She got to be 13 years old, 14 years old, and all of a sudden, she's not the fastest no more, Jeff. She's slow now. She's fucking slow now.
But that's not my question.
My only point is, when girls and boys are young, girls are often ahead of them in the evolutionary part of athletics. That means they advance a little quicker. They actually have their tendons and their joints and their other things actually are accelerated. That's why they stop growing quicker than men. That's why men grow later. Women plateau out. This is all science. They're very equal or ahead of men as young people. But when they get older, men become men, women stay women.
Fair enough. That said,
I can see a 9-year-old tackling my boys, Jeff. Yeah. And I'm going to be like,
but that wasn't my question. What if you were a football coach in, I don't know, Nebraska, coach, and you are there and you get the job. That's your team. And you assemble the team from last year, your starters and everything, and you see a defensive end just burying people. She takes off they take off their helmet and it's a woman. Are you going to get rid of her off the team?
You said at high school?
Yeah.
No, because I would already known there was a woman on the team if I'm taking a job. I get what you're saying, but that's not going to happen because
also, who was hired from the Lingerie Football League or tried to get a job because of it? I don't remember any of them.
Who?
Who tried to get a job that coached in the Lingerie Football League? I may have missed that.
There's 3 females coaching in the NFL right now. Their only experience was coaching and playing in the Lingerie League. And I've argued it and said, really? That's a fucking equivalent on a resume over a bunch of cats who have grad assistant coached for
D Jones makes an interesting point. He says, if baby Gronk gets offered at 10, why can't my daughter?
He wasn't. He's not. It's all what do you call it? What do you guys call that? What do you call that shit? Cliche? What do you call it?
Yeah, it's for show. I get it.
Yeah.
Speaking of women, can we talk about Britney Griner quick?
Yeah. We'll bring her up right now. I don't know if you saw. Let's hear it.
You felt that you let down yourself, your family, your teams.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Add that back.
Oh, how did you work through that? How did you?
Pause. Okay, listen. I want to dive into this real quick. Now, I have 2 master's degrees in biomechanics, kinesiology, study of the body. I don't even want to talk about the voice and the Adam's apple and everything like that. I just have to ask a fundamental question. Where is her cleavage line? Where does her cleavage line begin? I've seen a lot of flat-chested females in my life. My daughter's one. She has a cleavage line, though, Jeff. I want to know where her cleavage is. Where is it her line at? Because if I take my shirt off right now, hold on, let's mimic this. It looks the same to me, homie. I'm trying to find out where is her cleavage line. And then it goes up to her Adam's apple. Why does this all look the same right here? Hold on. About the same Adam's apple, about the same chest. Let's get to your point.
So how did you work through that, what you called this guilt that you were feeling?
I don't think I really gotten through all the way.
Holy shit.
I didn't let down, everybody in my family. And it was just, I think I'm still trying to get through that part.
All right, that's enough for me. Where are you at with it?
Yeah, I mean, seeing this, I still am blown away that it actually happened. This is a person who went so far.
What are you talking about? What part? The interview?
The entire situation and her crying about what happened to her. Okay, let's just backtrack on what actually happened. She was in Russia, a country that is very unstable. Okay, we all know that. They're led by a complete war criminal. We all know that. She went there with illegal substances, which she knew were illegal. She got caught with them and was sent to prison. Okay, pretty simple, right? When you commit a crime, you should go to jail. We then took the most destructive arms trafficker in the history of the civilized world. And we said, hold on. We're going to give him back to you for her. We didn't address the Marine that's still in captivity, right? Paul Whelan, still in captivity. We didn't do any of that. We just said, hey, straight up trade. It's like LeBron James and another player. Straight up.
Nobody talks about Whelan, by the way. No more.
No. Why would we? And remember, this is the same government that has been on record many times saying we don't make deals with terrorists, which is what Vladimir Putin is. He's a war criminal who should be in The Hague facing prosecution. But all of a sudden, we do make deals with terrorists if they have famous basketball players who describe the, woke generation, right? And for votes, we'll do it though. This is my issue. This is really, and then we got to hear her on TV talking about how horrible it's been. And listen, I get it was probably bad, but you know what you were doing. This ain't America, love. This ain't America. You can't walk around with vape cartridges. Way different.
Well, even here though, Jeff, California, Texas, Oregon, you would have had the same felony charge.
Yeah, but here we accept marijuana maybe a little bit differently than maybe they do, but that's not their problem. They have their own law.
That was hash.
Sure, anything they have. Everything they have is their laws. And we have to, if we're going to go there, we have to know those laws. Why? Because she committed a crime, we gave up a war criminal because of it?
Listen, it's just so infuriating to real Americans because I have family that's been in the armed forces here for my whole life, from my father, my grandfather, my brother is an Air Force fighter pilot, to my other brother who was a Marine. Listen, this is what the issue I have is. The people in mainstream media that continue to interview this broad as if she was wrongly convicted. And ESPN continues to push this narrative that she was wrongly detained. No, you actually were not. You were rightfully detained, and you should have been in jail because you would have been the same sentence in Texas, in Florida, in other fucking states in our own union. A little less. Are you that ignorant and that fucking enabled and entitled, this is what we are, Jeff, in this generation, entitled to think you can go abroad and drop your nuts, literally and figuratively, if you're Britney Griner, and walk around and say, I can do whatever the fuck I want to do and you can't do nothing because I got Joe Biden having my back. This shit is sickening, dog. Like back in the day, we would have been told, get the fuck out of there, cut your ties, get rid of that suitcase. Nowadays, we're fucking doing this, and then we're trading a person. If you look at some of the people that I've spoke to and talked to, people that are responsible for going over to kill Osama bin Laden, who's going to be on the show, guys like that are just sick in their stomach. What are we doing? We fought to defend against this war criminal guy that we just traded for nothing.
And remember, this is the same government that, are you going to release all the people that are in prison for marijuana in this country? Because that's kind of the precedent you've set here. I don't think people realize the level of, like, Victor Boot is a guy who can get his hands on whatever weapon he wants. And we're not talking about a fucking 9mm. We're talking about anti-aircraft missiles. We're talking about tanks. This is the biggest arms trafficker there is. This isn't some fucking gangster on the corner. This is like a real guy. This is a guy who funds nations to take on other nations.
Here's the cool part about it. Brian Evans here said, why are we talking about old
Because
shit?
an interview just came out, fuckhead. That's why.
Well, see, this is the issue I have. See, Brian Evans is a brother. I hope he's a brother. That's his real picture. Too much in this country are we defending because either we're white or we're black, and it's a white or a black person who we're defending because we're white or we're black. Homie, miss me with the bullshit. I'm fucking tired of your bullshit. Yesterday, this guy came out and is defending Deion Sanders because he's a brother. He don't know Deion Sanders from nobody. Deion Sanders may fuck over all the homies you know or grew up with, and you could give a fuck less, but you rather throw a brother, Big Smitty, under the bus. Make it make sense. So the truth, because of it's old, is no longer the truth to you, homie? Let me be clear yesterday. Yesterday, we have a great guest on in Dana who comes in, and then all the comments I read yesterday on YouTube state, why are we bringing up this old shit? Why is it always a brother putting down another brother? Motherfucker, he's telling you what happened. You act as if nothing really happened. Like, you think because it's old, it goes away. Motherfucker, it don't go away, homie. It's the truth.
This is why it just gets exhausting to even do anymore. Like I thought that guy Dana, I thought he was one of the real, like, great guests I've ever heard on a show, ever. And he is someone we must have in every school in America, every school. But everything with these people is race. But when it's time to actually do that, they don't want to do it. They'll put other black people down. They'll put other white people down. They got no problem with it.
Hey, D Jones is funny because D Jones is loved in the chat now. He's become a fan favorite. He's fucking trolling because he's like, D Jones is one of the first ones talking about pro-black move. We talk about it on the show all the time, fucking with him. And now he's like, let's leave race out of it, guys. But he really was being honest. He knows, D Jones knows that Dana cat was speaking the truth. That's the thing about it. When you're real, you're real. And you recognize being real, and real recognizes real. And now we want to bring up, it's old news. Why are we talking about it? See, that's just a way for you to say, let's not throw Britney Griner under the bus. We know she's wrong, but I'm going to defend her because of my skin tone. That is like me going out and defending some fucking Jeffrey Dahmer, motherfucker. No, I'm not. Jeffrey Dahmer is a fucking guy that should have been decapitated long ago. Like, I don't give a fuck what color you are because idiots come in all shapes, sizes, and colors, homie. That's what you don't get. Jeff, let's transition.
And again, remember, this continued divisive stuff. You're on one side, I'm on the other. This is, again, allowing other countries to say, see, it's working. We don't have to fire a fucking shot. We don't got to drop one fucking bomb. We don't got to send any warplane up in the air. Just let them idiots keep arguing with each other over nonsense. And I don't know if you've noticed, Coach, China, Russia, Iran, all these countries, they're just getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
So keep arguing about fucking nonsense.
We got a lot to talk about. Let's dive into we got about 30 minutes before Shaun King joins us for about 30, and then we'll end the show for 30. Let me ask you, let's talk about some top of the world, bottom of the barrel in between segments here real quick. Get back on some football. I want to talk about we talked about players individually yesterday being drafted. I want to talk about the bottom 5 teams who drafted or who I think is overrated. Let me just be clear. Who I think had the bottom 5 draft picks in the league this year as far as an organization. Let's talk about my bottom 5. And here they are. The Dolphins, Jeff. Listen, a lot of people are high on the Dolphins picks. I want to know what need did they address in this particular draft. I don't see it. They got a D tackle. Okay, I know they needed one. They also have a linebacker issue that continues to have injuries. They addressed that. I don't know if they addressed a left tackle or a right tackle to protect a left-handed quarterback. I don't know if they addressed anything to be able to run the football efficiently to keep Tua upright in order to run the offense that they want to run, which is play action, boot naked, waggles, and get Tua on the run because they know he's not the tallest and he doesn't have the liveliest arm. So the Dolphins, in my opinion, failed this draft. I don't think it's good at all. I've seen a lot of draft people picking them as a B-, C+. I have them as a D-. I don't believe they did really well. I've seen that the Bears have had the best draft. Now, let me be clear here why I have them on my most overrated list, bottom of the barrel list. Jeff, you were not a quarterback away from a Super Bowl team. You were not a receiver away from a Super Bowl team. We use these drafts and show them that everyone has them as an A+ draft. And I'm sitting there like, dog, you just replaced Justin Fields, who has 3 years of live ammunition, with another rookie quarterback that we don't know about yet. And you didn't really address any other issues other than a few guys in some spots that we don't even know who they are, other than Udunzi and Caleb Williams. I got to be real. I don't think this draft for the Bears is going to be the draft that gets them over the hump to win a Super Bowl. So I'm not putting them as high as everyone else. The only reason they put him that high, Jeff, is because they drafted Caleb Williams, who is a figurehead now in the social media space because of his off-the-field antics and a Heisman Trophy winning trophy, period. He's a Heisman Trophy winner. That's why these people put him at 1, period. I don't see it. The Broncos, I think, failed the draft this year. They already had need issues. They got rid of guys. They did not replace them. I'm not a Bo Nix guy. Shaun King will discuss it further with us. I think the Broncos failed miserably. The Cowboys, I believe, just continues to do what they do. They weren't eager enough, in my opinion, or had any sense of urgency to make any moves to address certain things. You lost Tyron Smith. I want to see them replace. I know they had a replacement in place, but I don't know if he's the long-term guy, especially for a guy at Dak Prescott, who you're discussing on re-signing for big money. I don't agree with what they did. And then the Falcons, we can all argue. We've had Michael Lombardi on this week. I don't see what they did. I am a Michael Penix fan. I don't believe they addressed one issue that team has. That team is not a backup quarterback away from winning a Super Bowl. It was the most asinine decision I've seen in a long time. Basically, you went against the money. You just paid Kirk Cousins, Jeff, and you did not address anything Kirk Cousins needs to be successful within that organization. The Falcons take the cake for me this year.
Yeah, I think a lot of these teams, I can see where you're going with them. As far as the Dolphins, I didn't really understand them either. I think you make a good point. Truth is, though, their offensive line was actually pretty good last year. But again, you want to kind of address the right side. They didn't do that. Patrick Paul, as far as I know, kid they drafted out of Houston, doesn't play on the right side. He's strictly a left tackle. He's not a swing tackle, which is weird. I didn't understand that thought process. They also didn't really address defense outside of Chop Robinson. Did they address the secondary? Not really. This was a defense they gave up over 23 points a game. The Bears, I disagree here. I think at the end of the day, here's if I have an issue with what they did. They didn't address their offensive line, really. They didn't go out and get a guy that can come in and you can plug right in. They can play guard or tackle. This is a bad offensive line, and if you can't protect your quarterback you just got, it ain't going to work. That's kind of the issue there. And 100%, you got to do that, and they didn't do it. But they went out and got one of the better receivers in the draft in Rome Aduzier, and they got the best quarterback, at least on paper. Okay, whether he is successful or not, we don't really know. Cowboys, I would also disagree. I think they went out and addressed two things they needed, which were two pieces of depth on the offensive line. And I think they have a guy who can play right away in Tyler Guyton on the left side. They also go out and get Cooper Beebe, a guy who is very durable. You could put him in at guard or tackle. He can really play everywhere. I liked what they did personally. Again, I get what you're saying, but I think it's for you more of you just don't like Caleb Williams, and that's fair. Because if he doesn't play well, then yes, it's a total failure.
And listen, it's not that I don't like him. The only reason I say that is you replaced the guy that you were building around, that you had 3 years, that you really didn't help at all in 3 years. And then this year you go out and make a Keenan Allen move, and you do all these moves, and it's like a backhanded slap in the face. Like, hold on, now we're going to start over what we just did 3 years ago, but actually give the quarterback a little bit of help. That's why I'm suspect on what that is entailing.
I'll throw a team out here. The Giants. I'm just still not understanding this process of why they haven't addressed the quarterback position. Like even in the third or fourth round, like they could have went out and got Spencer Rattler right in the third or fourth round. They didn't. What is the position and plan when Daniel Jones, or Daniel Dimes as we call him, what is the idea? What is going to happen? We're going to focus next year on the quarterback class? Because, again, you're starting to run out of time. And at some point you have to address that. I do like the Tyler Nubin pick. I think he's a good safety. But all in all, did they really make changes? Where's the quarterback here?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's get to the top of the world. My top draft teams this year. The Eagles. I think your Eagles, again, listen, I don't know. We can move this list right here. You could probably put every one of these teams at 1, and that's my true opinion. I think you could put all these teams at 1, and there's also some other teams outside of these that actually had really good drafts as well, like the Commanders, a couple other teams. And I really dove through this list, and I looked through it, and I'm like, fuck. For what they have already and how I project them to be is what I made this list with. I think the Rams are on the rise. I think the Colts are on the rise, but they don't have a quarterback. But I'm just talking about this particular draft. The Eagles, they got 2 really good secondary guys who we all know they've been hurting at or they're aging at. They've had older guys. I like what they did. I'm curious to see what they do with losing 2 captains up front on both sides of the ball. I'm interested to see that leadership in the locker room. That is why I put them at 5. They could have easily been 1, 2, 3. The Colts, same thing. I think they shored up the pass rush. They already had a good one. I like what they've done on offense. They have explosive weapons on offense. I just am not sold on the QB. The Rams addressed issues that losing Aaron Donald, they addressed it as a good team would do. Also, they were on the rise last year. They were a play away from beating Detroit, and who knows how they go against the Niner team. I thought they were rolling. They were rolling late in the year. They played Baltimore as good as anyone. They lost in overtime, and I think they won like 6 in a row at a point towards the end of the year. The Rams were rolling. I think it's just going to be momentum into this offseason. I like the Rams in the West this year. The Chargers, with the addition of Harbaugh, already having a franchise QB, and then you address some things up front. And knowing his mindset, I believe it fits to a T what they did in the draft. I like what he's done because he's a proven guy to rebuild programs quickly, as he did in Frisco. And then the Steelers, I think they addressed every need they needed. Plus, they made offseason acquisitions that helped them. They just declined Najee Harris's 5th year, which I think they'll re-sign him on a different deal, and I think they'll still keep him in long-term of things. Also, now we're in discussions of moving Justin Fields to kick returner, and we're going to dive into that later in the show. Where you at with my top 5, and where yours is?
Yeah, I think a good list. I think you mentioned keeping the Commanders off, I think was a major miscue here. I think what they did is really at the top levels. Okay. They go out and get what they think is their next quarterback for the next 7 to 10 years. They go out and address the slot position, which we like Terry McLaurin a lot. I actually really like this kid, Luke McCaffrey, a late steal, good bloodlines. He was a really good player at Rice. Just a kid you could put in the slot. He can make all sorts of moves. Good gadget player. Can go down the field and stretch the field. Ben Sinnott, a guy who maybe isn't going to be your Brock Bowers, but a really solid player. Zach Ertz is kind of towards the end of his career. Sinnott's going to be the next big thing there. And look, you also look at on defense. They didn't make any, I think, huge moves, but you got Jerjon Newton late. He should have been a first-round pick. They got him in the 2nd round. And I've said before, Mike Sainristil, I think he was up there with one of the top corners. He's a nickel corner. He's going to be inserted right away and make some major change on that defense. I think they addressed really every position. You also mentioned the Chargers. They also got some value. They got strong up front with Joe Alt, the best lineman in the draft. Ladd McConkey, another player similar to Luke McCaffrey. Throw him in the slot. Jim Harbaugh will do some interesting things with him. And also remember, Junior Colson. They got him, I think, pretty valued as well. He obviously played under Harbaugh at Michigan. The guy you can kind of throw in there right away. I think all these picks are good. Steelers, again, it's all going to be about their quarterback play. Can Russell Wilson kind of strengthen himself? I think he can. They obviously have the offensive line addressed. They went out and kind of found those guys.
Who would you replace on my list with the Commanders?
Probably the Colts, I would say. I think Latu is a great pick. You know, he's kind of the next, your hope is like a Dwight Freeney type of player to your team, right? And I think that's addressed. But on offense, are there enough weapons here, right? A.D. Mitchell, good player. Michael Pittman, good player. Are these guys that are going to be the number one option by a wide margin on their team? I think they're good. I don't know if they're great. Yeah. Offensive line maybe address a little bit. And is Anthony Richardson the guy for the future? I guess we'll have to wait and see. But I would probably take off the Colts. I'm not saying they didn't have a good draft. I would just put the Commanders in there over them.
That's probably who I would do it too. Let me ask you this.
The Colts, real quick. The Colts have a lot of, I think, WR2s. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
I mean, and I said this last year about the kid for Chicago. What's the kid that they had there? Everyone was saying, "Oh, he's great. He's a number one guy."
DJ Moore. He's a 2.
Right. These guys are all these Pittmans and the Downs. They're all number 2s. They're not number 1. Now, A.B. Mitchell could be that. We'll see.
Yeah. Jerry, I had the Packers right up out of my top 5. I had them at like 7 or 8. I give them a B+ in the draft. I think the Packers did well based on what they already had. Jeff, if I were to say, put all this together and entering the 24 season in a couple months, in 3 months when we enter the season, what team sticks out at you overall between offseason acquisitions, trades, or free agents, along with the draft? If we had to do that list, just ad-libbing, I'll go first. I would put the Jets at 1. I'd put the Houston Texans at 2. And I would probably have the Rams at 3. And to be honest, listen, everyone wants to say I'm a Danny Dimes. I thought the Giants had a really good draft also this year. I would put the Giants at about a B grade as far as what they did in the this offseason plus draft. So I think, and the Seahawks I thought did well. So there's some other teams out there, but I would say the Jets would take the cake for me based on offseason acquisition, based on Aaron Rodgers coming back, all things healthy, based on that receiving core, the run game, shoring up the O-line. They got better. Their defense is already loaded. And then you go get Hassan Reddick to go along with that pass rush. I think the Jets, to me, are 1.
Yeah, I think you can make a strong case that, you'd be remiss if you don't mention the Jets. I mean, I'm a huge fan of what they did, going out and getting – I love Malachi Corley. I thought he was the best slot receiver, one of the best slot receivers in the draft, particularly in the second round. I thought he went a little late. Olu Fashanu, another guy who he's going to come in. And your defense, you didn't need to make any changes. All they did was they upgraded. They went from Bryce Hall to Hassan Reddick, who, let's be honest, the Eagles gave away for basically nothing. They are surely the pick. I would also say the Chiefs. You have to mention the Chiefs. Look, did they do much in the draft? No, but they got Xavier Worthy, right? And they got him from a rival. They shored up that receiver core. It's all going to come down to Rashee Rice, obviously important. He's going to have a long suspension. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Eagles. I mean, I think what they've done really in free agency and in the draft, you've got to address. They addressed, again, you talked about need. The secondary is almost shored up now, right? You have a bunch of players at multiple positions for them. Now, I know you're going to point out the Kelsey and Fletcher Cox stuff. Obviously, those are 2 leaders, but you still have a really good semblance of an offensive line there, and you still have a good semblance of a defensive line. For them, it's going to come down to their young players up front on the defensive line. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis taking that next step, becoming what we think they can be. And they have new offensive coordinators. That's going to be important, too. We remember both those coordinators from last year are gone. They needed to go out and get proven names that could come in and play. But yeah, I think your Jets point. I think they have to be right up top as the favorite going.
Overall, if just spitballing here, if I had to say the worst with free agency, drafting, and trades, I would say the Bills would be the worst. And by the way, speaking of the Bills, breaking news, they just signed Chase Claypool, another fucking nobody. Like, this guy was just in the CFL literally a month ago. He got signed in the CFL. Now he's back. This is a first-round guy that's basically been the biggest bust in football over the last few years. He just, I don't know.
I'll tell you this. Super Bowl winner, the Jets at 25-1. That is very valuable. I mean, look, if Aaron Rodgers can just keep upright, which, again, you're battening down the hatches and saying, I got to hope he is healthy. But if he is healthy, on paper, this looks like a really good football team.
No doubt. This is a defining moment for their head coach, because if they don't win, in my opinion, they almost have to win it all. That's how bad. This is like a Lakers, team you put together with Karl Malone and Gary Payton. You got to win. Like this guy almost has to win it all. I hate to say that and put that pressure on you, but this is what we see. We just talked about Budenholzer getting fired in the Bucs because after he just won. if we're firing guys a year removed from winning it all, then you got to put the same heat on the fire to the guys that haven't won yet, who've been underachievers. And Saleh is in that boat, in my opinion. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Also, throw out one other team, the Ravens. They go out and get a corner opposite to Marlon Humphrey and Nate Wiggins, a guy who I think cover corner-wise is the best corner in the draft. You beefed up your offensive line a little bit. When you're a team like the Ravens, you just need to address certain weaknesses, right? We know they're already good. They also added Derrick Henry in the offseason. Still a guy who, has something left, we think. The Ravens are a team that in the AFC, I mean, they're your second favorite at 9-1.
And see, this is why G Wizzle has no fucking clue what he's talking about and why you're a fucking participant in the chat.
They just got Fashanu, moron.
By the way, not only did they draft an O-lineman out of the draft who's really good, they took 2 really fucking good O-linemen from the Baltimore Ravens. This is why the Ravens drafted 2 O-linemen this year in the draft, you fucking moron. Number 1. Number 2, they did get an older Tyron Smith. But guess what? That's why they drafted a fucking big-time rookie, and they got 2 Baltimore Raven replacements.
Also, Elijah Vera Tucker and Joe Tippmann are both in their young 20s. So I'm not really they cut bait from Mekhi Becton, who didn't work there. I mean, weird take.
G Wizzle. Do I need to explain this, Jeff?
This guy's a moron. Complete idiot.
I mean, this guy's unbelievable.
You do realize not every team has 21-year-olds at every position on the
By the way,
offensive
the
line.
reason they drafted him, you dumb fuck, so if Tyron Smith gets hurt, guess who goes in, you fucking idiot?
And also remember, too,
God,
those guys were on – like Tyron Smith was a great player and still has something left. Morgan Moses, a guy who was at Baltimore, a great player. I mean, you want a good mix of – I mean, like, are the Eagles not good because their offensive line is Lane Johns? Like, he's still really good. What the fuck does that matter?
Hey, let's talk about this real quick before we get Shaun King on. Let me ask you something. So we've seen these staged protests. Shout out to Eddie Manyweather yesterday on the ground, running around. We're going to make that clip. We're going to get that clip out there in a short, man, and make light of it. It was a great job, Eddie, because you actually were in harm's way, whether you knew it or not. I would have loved to see it. It would have made the show bigger. I'd have paid you some money if you'd have got fucking depleted by someone. But listen. Listen, I don't know if you know this, but these protesters, we all obviously don't use common sense anymore because these protesters are defending the LGBTQ alphabet mafia, which is not allowed in those countries they're actually protesting for, and they would literally be beheaded or thrown off a fucking cliff. Listen to somebody that is telling you straight from the horse's mouth.
شو بتقول دراسات؟ بتقول انه من يتورط باللواط ما بيقدر يطلع من اللواط. علق حتى لو فاق، حتى لو انتبه، حتى لو استغفر، حتى لو تاب، حتى لو بكي بنص الليل، بفيق على حاله، بيوعى وبيستغفر وبيتوب وبيصوم. والتجارب تحكي عن اشخاص، يعني انا سمعت باشخاص واعرف اشخاصا خارج لبنان صار معهم هذا الشيء ويفيق على حاله ويصلي ليل ويبكي ويصوم واللي بدك اياه وخلص علقان علق. طيب هون بهذا النوع من الجرائم التي تدمر العائلة والمجتمع عندنا أحكام حاسمة بالشريعة الإسلامية، لكن شوفوا الفرق. يعني هون واحد بيتوقف عند شيء أن الزاني إذا زنى، الشاب الزاني أو الرجل أو المرأة إذا زنى، إذا لم يكن محصنا يجلد، أما إذا كان محصنا طبعا بحكم القاضي وإذا ثبت وكذا يقتل. أما في حالة اللواط فما في فرق بين عزابي ومتزوج. في حالة اللواط من المرة الأولى حتى لو كان عزابي يقتل.
Yeah, I mean, this is the laughability of this stuff. I mean, I can listen to him talk for a while. Shout out to him. Who was that? Cleric?
One of the Shah, whatever they call him.
Imam or something?
A higher up that said basically this is what happens. he's one of the bylaw writers. He's like, dog, if you are this and you even repent, it doesn't matter. We're bigger than God. Our God is a different God. We don't believe in repenting over these certain things.
Yeah,
like
he's a scholar, obviously, and he knows what he's talking about. And this is but I want to go back to Eddie's contact with those individuals yesterday. There's two things we never hear them do. They never explain why they're there and what they're up to, and they can't ever articulate what they're up to, and they never want to show who they are, which I find odd. For instance, if you were fighting in the 60s against the civil rights movement, you wanted people to know who you were. That was a proud moment for a lot of people, right? We built heroes through that. Why do these people not ever want to show themselves here? They always want to cover everything.
Great point.
There's a reason for that.
There is, because they're paid participants. That's what the deal is. They're paid participants in this act. And I don't know if you saw Donald Trump's come out and said that he knows for a fact that they're paid. Other people have come out recently now and have stated that they are paid. If you notice, when the cops were arresting some guys yesterday, and if you notice, the simple fact of going in and arresting them took so long at these certain schools tells you that they were also deterred from doing their job. But then you got guys who are getting arrested and they're doing this, Jeff. Like if you watch all the people getting arrested, they're like doing this. And it's like, why are you covering up? What's so big? So like it's alarming, man, to be honest.
Happy Days makes a point that they're just so anti-West, which sucks. I hate to tell you, Happy Days, but the Western ideology has destroyed this world. It just has. And most countries over there don't want any of that shit anywhere near what they've done.
Nah.
What as far as the West, as far as cultural, all this bullshit we see nowadays, I don't know about you, Coach, but it's kind of ruined society. I don't know if
we stole pretty much everything, and then what we do is we take it, and then we're the most hypocritical country. I will say that.
A certain Western ideology is ruined this world.
Listen, I'm American, purebred. I'm America. I'm still at the point where fuck you, Russia, China, bring it on, motherfucker. That's me, American, my family, everybody, right? At the same time, although I'm born American and proud American, I'm not proud to be in America right now. That's just where it is. Like, that's the truth. See, now people are hate. It's like the Dion thing. Oh, you're a hater. No, it's the truth. And the truth hurts some of you. Here's why I believe it's paid actors. And this guy exposed these protesters on 2 different networks that would never have the same person on their network. And look at this, Jeff.
Now, you're not going to tell me this ain't crazy. Look at these 2 that's getting interviewed on CNN. And then look at the 2 that's getting interviewed on Fox. Watch. It's the same 2. It's the same 2. Get out of here. It's the same 2 people.
And you know what, Jeff? What's weird about it, Jeff? I don't know if you saw David, what's his name? Him and Whitlock got beef going right now. He was driving in his drop top talking about, he pulled up the chronological order of the last election year after COVID and when we had these BLM protests and these other things where brick pallets were being laid out in certain places for people just to pick them up and throw them. Like, it's unbelievable. The same time, same date. Same time, same date. And I don't know if you saw Tucker Carlson's latest interview with a news reporting outlet that has been basically banned by every cable network because of our government has basically gone against our straight up rights in this country to express freedom of speech. They've suspended and banned them not only on YouTube. What's the name of the channel? I think OEM or
OAN.
You know they're not on any cable network anymore. They've taken them off all cable networks.
Well, I think that's
them off fucking One American News. They took them off YouTube.
Well, I think that's because they've been known to push conspiracy theorists.
And so that's the thing. Tucker Carlson broke it down yesterday. They called them I forgot the word, but then they came out and showed like, well, actually we haven't been anything other than real and honest, but we've been silenced because the truth hurts, what we say on this show every day. And I think that when you, regardless, Jeff, let me just be honest and listen, I don't know anything about these other people, but if you were to silence you, myself, anyone, because of an opinion we have, it's against our alienable right. That's period. Like, it doesn't matter. You're silencing them for a reason. If they were so fake and so against, so full of shit, they wouldn't even suspend them. Look at these fucking guys on social media, Jeff. What is it? Ballsack Sports or some shit that came after me. They're a fake organization who has hundreds of thousands of followers who does nothing but fake shit. And yet people out here are anointing them.
Listen, here's the thing. And I know we have to go to Shaun, but I just want to say one thing. Okay. All I'm going to say is if you're going to say you support a side, which is fine, you're welcome to support Palestine and Israel. It's up to you. Just understand what you're actually supporting, right? And listen, if you actually look at Palestine, okay, it is their land. That's just the truth. I'm not saying that, I support some of the strategies they're doing, but just understand what you're doing. Have some intelligence. Just don't do it because you're told to do it. And that's what I think you're saying.
Yeah. Let's bring in one of our loved and cherished guests on this show. Former NFL quarterback extraordinaire, Tulane legend, coach himself, our main man, Shaun King, looking cool as a fan. What up, dog?
What's up, big dog? How you doing, man?
Man, we're chilling, man. Jeff's filling in for Big Smitty. Smitty's at a wedding in Florida and your neck of the woods. So, we're chilling. Hey, what do you think about Patrick Beverley yesterday? First of all, let me ask you, what do you think of Patrick Beverley?
You got to respect the hustle. I mean, a guy that he would give all of us buckets in the Y. Let's not get it twisted. I think I need to put that disclaimer on anything I say about NBA players. Any of you bootleg, couch potatoes, Twitter bullies, they would all give you buckets in a YMCA or your local gymnasium. Don't get it twisted. But at that level, Patrick Beverley's skill set is not elite. No. So for a guy to carve out that kind of career and get the bag multiple times, you got to respect it.
Because to be honest, he averaged, I think, 20-something in college. He
would give all of us major buckets. Yes.
Yeah, no doubt.
I don't like him because I think his antics take away from the entertainment value of me watching the game. But again, you got to respect it because that's how he keep a job. So salute to Patrick Beverley. I do like when his team loses, though.
I agree. I don't know if you saw this.
It appears we don't.
To me, he's an absolute. I don't get that. That to me is a bitch move. I don't understand. He throws a ball at a female of all people. Even if you were trying to hit a man, it doesn't matter. You're throwing and you hit a female. I thought it was a bitch-made move. I don't understand it. I don't get it. He asked for the ball. They threw it to him gently, like nicely. And then the motherfucker guns an overhead pass, an NBA guy. I would expect a lawsuit, Jeff, no?
I mean, it seemed like even after he threw the ball at the guy the first time, the guy was like, oh, okay, I'll throw it back. And then he throws it back again. He's a complete jerk-off, every level. That said, I agree with Shaun that he is a great player. No one will disagree that he can't put buckets on every single person in this chat and 99.8% of America. That said, he's a clown, and he's always this overshines. He always has to be the center of attention. What he should do, and he's got a very good show. His co-host is a dear friend of mine. I love Ron. They have a great show. He's great for the podcast game, causing trouble, talking shit. But he's a weakling on the court, and he's emotional, and he's always got to be the center of attention.
And I think you hit it. I think Jeff hit it on the head. The one thing we know about this era of NBA players, they're the most sensitive athletes in the history of professional sports. I mean, if you go back, like sometimes I always challenge like some of my homies and like I get in different conversations with people. I said, just go randomly watch a late 1990s NBA playoff series. the guys get fouled hard. They ain't whining. They ain't acting like they got fouled on every shot. They ain't worried about what anybody in the stands is saying. They out there playing basketball at the highest level. Like these guys, like I admire the talent because they're super skilled. But I mean, I do get tired of the pettiness and the sensitivity that they display on a consistent basis.
Let me ask you, do you think we've set them up for failure too with the fucking instant replays of what is a flagrant one, a common foul? Like, come on, man, take that shit out and just, this is a common foul. Unless you come across a motherfucker, we obviously know that's what it is. 10-minute reviews every 10 minutes is just exhausting. I don't want to watch it. And then if you look at the old school All-Star games where motherfuckers was late in the game, motherfuckers was bowing each other, they were trying to play for real.
They were competing.
Nowadays, we got a quarter system and the first to 200 or whatever the fuck it is. Like, what are we doing? It's a joke.
And I know a lot of people watch this show. And so if you're someone in the NBA in a position of power and you're watching this show, you guys are so close. I mean, if you look at the crowds in Philly and New York and in some of these games, people are finally starting to kind of buy back into the NBA. Like, don't blow it. Like they're close to becoming like something legit again. Because for a while there, they were becoming way too worldwide. And I think when you look at the player pool, it's a lot of foreigners on those rosters. You know, because you don't have a lot of name familiarity because guys don't stay in college, a lot of times you find yourself, well, who in the hell is that? Where did he go to college? You have to get the little app and find out where guys are. So, but they're close. People starting to come. People starting to care. Don't blow it.
Hey, that's a hell of a segue to the NFL because I got to ask you, like,
let me just ask you one thing real quick. Why did Patrick Beverley do what he did? He'll even tell you he doesn't know. He said this morning, I have to be better. It's always with this guy. Draymond Green, same thing with him. It's always with some of these guys.
I'm sorry, before I finish. You subscribe to my pod?
Do I subscribe to you? I do not.
So you can't interview me then.
I mean, like, he's just a jerk off at every level. And we get what he's up to, trying to get views. But, like, it's always the same thing with this guy. There was absolutely no reason he did what he did. The fan didn't say shit to him. And not for nothing, the fan can say what he wants. He paid to get in. I'm not saying he could just, say certain things, but he can say what he wants. Since when did we care about what fans said?
I don't know.
Shaun's right. I mean, they're soft as fuck, a lot of these guys.
Shaun and I grew up in the streets playing, talking shit. That's what motivated us, got our adrenaline going. That's what made the game better. We used to talk shit to the crowd saying, yeah, motherfucker, look, drop bucket. I dropped that bitch touchdown, motherfucker. Go ahead. After we got hit in the face, by the way, talking shit. Basketball, same way. Now we got Westbrook and all these motherfuckers. Kick him out of the game. Kick him out of this arena. What? I would love for you to talk shit against me. That means I'm doing something.
But why wasn't Patrick Beverley removed from the arena?
I don't know, man.
If we did that, we would have been removed. Why could the Jokic brothers punch anybody they want and it's okay?
Yeah, the Knicks removed Charles fucking Oakley from their own arena. What are we talking about?
Right. But if a player did that, he would be, you'd be fine. Go back into the game.
Hey, let's dive into this segue, Shaun, that I just thought of, like the NBA, what we were just talking about, to the NFL. Let me ask you, in this current draft, we haven't got to talk to you about this draft. We're going to talk about it today, but in the current draft that just occurred, I got to ask you, and I've done some data, and I had Michael Lombardi on, and we were talking. The draft lacks juniors because of what's happening in the portal at the college level. The talent base, like you and I discussed, was kind of like, this past draft was kind of like, blah. It is what it is. We kind of agree it's overrated at certain positions, and there's a reason they took 14 offensive players to start with. Like, what is the portal doing to the draft that a lot of people don't understand?
I think the first thing it's doing is stunning the development of guys that need to be developed. Like, every coach is kind of different. Every player is different. So every time you change coaches, you got to learn a new personality. You got to, create a new relationship.
Philosophy.
That coach has got to figure out how to coach you to get you to your full potential. And with the moving around, guys aren't really addressing their weaknesses. They're just running to a place where it's a softer level of competition, whether it be through numbers, whether it be through size or position of school. And so guys aren't developing at the level that they need to. And you're seeing that, I mean, on draft day. And that's why you see a lot of guys having to stay in school because, you know, when they want to leave after 3 years, when they you know, put their name out there, they're not getting the evaluation grade back that they anticipated. So I think that's a big part of it. Like, it takes time to develop, fellas, in the game of football. And you don't get drafted in football based on your high school ranking. It's like the NBA draft. Like in the NBA, you can absolutely suck that 1 year between high school and the draft, and you'll still be a lottery pick because of where you were coming out of high school. Football not like that.
Or you're McDonald's All-American and your accolades, you're great. Bronny's son we know why he was a McDonald's All-American. Let's just keep it real. He wasn't a McDonald's All-American. He was the worst player on a bad SC team last year. Like, now he'll get drafted probably. So let's just be real. This is not the same as football. Let's dive into it. We did a little top of the world, bottom of the barrel in our draft picks yesterday, individual picks. I don't know, Bailey, if we still have the picks or not, of mine at least. And then today, Jeff and I went through the teams, our top and bottom 5 teams that drafted. I got a few questions for you. I want to dive into the picks first. If Bailey, my worst picks, individual picks. I don't mean worse as far as they'll never be able to play. I'm looking at the team that they went to, and I'm looking at the position. Okay, I know you're a bigger fan of JJ than I am. I take your expertise as knowing something that a lot of people don't know, because I do that on this show and say, hey man, you don't know what you don't know. You coached them, you know more than me on JJ. I want to see it. So for right now, I don't think he's a guy that's day one starter in the league, but maybe he will be. I don't know. I think Sam Darnold's going to be the guy there for a minute. But Drake May, you and I are on the same page. Bo Nix, we're on the same page. I don't think Blake Corum is a game changer at the NFL level because of his size. You and I both know if you have a little guy like a Dante Hall that we all played with or somebody like that, you got to be different at that size. I don't know if he's different. And I think Kyler Williams at the Rams is already a guy who's similar in stature but much better. So I don't love that pick. I don't know how far he can go in the league. And then Caleb Williams, in my opinion, I think he's going to be a bust. But that's just me. Where are you at with your bottom worst draft picks, if you could just ad-lib off the top on guys that got picked where they got picked?
I thought at 7, Tennessee reached a little bit with J.C. Latham. You know, J.C.'s another kid that I had at IMG. I mean, super talented, elite athlete for a guy that size, but I didn't necessarily think J.C. always had that, like, dog in him like that. You know what? I want to dominate the man on the other side for me. You know, he's more like, I'm going to do my job. You know, I'm going to go have some fun afterwards. We're going to play some video games, you know what I'm saying? What's your online, you know, ID? You know, so I thought maybe Tennessee reached there. You guys know how high I was on Fuaga. And Fuaga was available there. So was Fashanu. So that'll be one to watch as we move forward, because 2 guys that I had rated higher at that position. I didn't think anybody really blew it, per se. Of course, Sean Payton's trying to save face. So he's trying to – I have watched Drew Brees play his entire life. I watched Bo Nix play his entire life. There's not one time that I've ever watched Bo Nix play and said that looks like Drew Brees. Not ever.
I agree.
I'm just being honest.
All right, my top 5, which I think the best 5 picks, in my opinion. I think Nate Wiggins has the opportunity to be the best cover guy in this draft. I think where he's going is going to help. I like the Xavier Leggett kid. I think he's a dog as far as mentality. I think he's a Deebo Samuels-esque player. I think he's a utility type of guy, shorter, stockier stature that can actually move and do different things. You can even do what they do with Deebo in the Niners with him. Latu, I still like. You don't like. I think he's the best pass rusher still in the draft if he stays healthy. So this is a risky pick by me. Fuaga, I think he's the best lineman in the draft. I agree. And then I think Jared Verse was a steal from Florida State for the Rams not to replace, of course, Aaron Donald, but they they addressed the defensive line in a lot of ways in this Rams draft. So I also have the Rams in my top 5 as a drafting team, but I like that pick. Where's your top 5 at?
I did have one more on my bottom, and I want to be on record for saying this. Kansas City blew it again. There's not one Texas game I watch where Xavier Worthy plays at a sub 4.3 game speed.
I agree.
He's not strong in the lower body. He gets tackled with arm tackles a lot. I was surprised with a guy like Xavier Legette on the board that Kansas City went Xavier Worthy. I think that's going to come back to be a bad pick.
That's a great point because I forgot to address Jeff's point earlier with that pick. Jeff liked the pick. I don't know if I like the pick now with the issue that's happening with the Rice kid, because Rice is going to be suspended 6 weeks minimum from what I'm hearing. And now you've depleted another receiving core group that now it looks like, okay, we got Hollywood Brown. Cool. Again, another guy who struggles to get off press. Now I still have to, at the end of the day in Andy Reid's system, move Kelsey around, probably put him outside more to get outside throws because I still don't have an outside guy. I still don't have a real outside guy that I could throw a fade stop on, a hits versus press on to get a first down. I don't have that guy unless I move Kelsey out there, and I just don't see the Worthy deal. But I don't know. Where's your top 5 at?
Well, excuse me. I want to start with I thought the Pittsburgh Steelers nailed the draft. I thought they absolutely nailed the draft. They got Fatanu, the tackle from Washington, then they went and got the center from West Virginia. They added a receiver, Roman Wilson, who's perfect for where they're at. You know, they got the big down the field guys. This is a guy that can, you know, kind of like a Cooper Kupp-ish kind of player in a lot of ways. And listen, they picked up what's the backer from the Ravens that they got a free agency? Patrick Queen. To add Peyton Wilson to that, but they got 2 guys there now. They can't see ball, get ball. They're going to be hell to deal with on the defensive side. As far as like just overall, I really thought J.J. McCarthy landed in the best spot. I didn't have him as the highest rated quarterback, and I know how you feel about him, JB, but I thought whichever quarterback ends up in Minnesota is worthy of a Rookie of the Year play. I just think with Kevin O'Connell's offensive brilliance and then the weaponry that they have there, they got those 2 big tackles that are elite. They added Aaron Jones at running back. Like, everybody knows TJ Hawkins is a top 5 tight end. Jordan Addison had a big rookie year, and Justin Jefferson's one of the best receivers in football. Like, that thing is set up for whichever rookie quarterback ended up in Minnesota.
Yeah. All right, your worst teams. I don't think the Dolphins addressed what they needed. The Bears, to your point, they're just not. Everyone has them as an A+. I'm like, they're not a quarterback or a receiver away from being a fucking Super Bowl champion. So, listen, cool, you take the picks, but we just did this 3 years ago with Justin Fields. I don't see how that draft. Okay, we can say that the Heisman Trophy winner was taken 1. We could say it about Bryce Young last year too, and Jaden Daniels this year. And like, it doesn't matter. Your team's not good enough to me. The Falcons, you like it. Penix, I don't know where that is. I think there was issues to address because, again, you're not a backup quarterback away from winning.
Well, JB, let's stay there for a second because I want to ask your opinion on this. Because the way I view the first round of the NFL draft, if I ever had the pleasure, and listen, if there's a team out there, man, my dream is to be a GM. That's the one job that I would love to have that I think I'm overly qualified for, that I would knock out the box. My first round selection would always be best available. And I mean literally, when I rank the players in this draft from 1 to wherever we pick, somebody in that group is getting drafted at our selection. Because I feel like that's how you accumulate elite talent. Don't worry about filling needs. Don't worry about, we got a deficiency here. Because some years you just can't fill it, with the right kind of and caliber of player. And guess what? Next year you still got the same need. So when I'm looking at Atlanta, obviously people weren't high on this defensive group of players. That's why none were taken through the first, 14 picks. So they had a chance, in their opinion, to draft a franchise quarterback. No matter what the quarterback position looked like, they think Penix is a franchise quarterback. I wouldn't pass it up. Obviously, people weren't as high on Dallas Turner as we thought. Because not only did he drop, but he wasn't even the first edge rusher off the board. So obviously there was something that a bunch of NFL teams saw that they didn't like about that particular prospect. There wasn't a D tackle that I thought was worthy of going in the top 10. You know, they didn't really need cornerback. So I know people say they could have went defense, but if there wasn't a guy there that they had rated that high, go with the highest rated guy.
Yeah, that was Jeff's kind of point. I think he mentioned he thought that Turner was going to come off a lot higher. And for some reason, like to your point, he fell. I don't know why, Jeff. I don't know what he did. I know you had him. So there's a few spots that could have took him that passed on him. But 14 guys going first round on offense is impressive.
But, you know, a couple of guys fell in the defensive line. Johnny Newton fell. You know, a couple of guys fell. Why that is? And then you have a guy like Latu who had definitely a concerning medical history. He didn't. So,
yeah, I don't know. Is Odell really going to the Dolphins? Is Odell really going to the Dolphins? I don't know if the chat. I don't listen to the chat no more. Again, Shaun, if Odell is going to the Dolphins, it makes no sense to me. You're still not a physical team. You can't beat the Ravens. You can't beat the Eagles. You can't beat any physical team. And maybe now the Patriots and the Bills, you can steamroll, but I don't know if you can beat the Jets. I don't know if you can beat anyone in that AFC. I don't think you can beat the Browns, the Ravens. I don't know if you can beat the I don't know in the AFC. Houston, who are the Dolphins going to go in there and win a late game in, especially in the weather, if you're not some sort of physical up front team, mindset-wise? I mean, it's all boot waggle, naked, and sprint out. Like, let's be real. We're trying to get the ball out of this guy's hand quick because he's 6 foot with no huge arm. It is official. What do you think about this? Breaking news.
I don't think it matters. And the previous Miami Dolphins coach got fired because of his opinion, but I agree 100% with him. You're not winning anything in that league with Tua at quarterback. You're just not. In the regular season, it looks great because I think McDaniel does a great job of scheming certain teams up. And you have your game like where they put up 50, I think, against the Broncos. And, you know, they're going to have weeks where teams just aren't prepared for the skill and the speed to have a receiver. But in the playoffs, listen, Tua doesn't have a plus arm. He doesn't have plus size. He's not a plus athlete. And it all shows itself come playoff time. And Mike McDaniel looks like he's kind of pigeonholed himself, and that's my quarterback. And I think there's a low ceiling on the Miami Dolphins because of that. They need a big arm, athletic quarterback if they want to win a championship. A guy that can extend plays, push the ball consistently down the field. With the group of receivers they have, then they have a chance, regardless of if they get more physical on those lines. But they can be as physical as they want. I think because of Tua's limitations, their ceiling is pretty low.
Let's stay in the NFL before we move to college. There's rumor out there that they are really, I got to get your take on this shit, that they're considering allowing Justin Fields to return kicks and punts. Where are you at with this? And what could that possibly mean? Is this a way to subtly say, hey, dog, I don't know if we think you can play in this league at quarterback, similar to what they're doing with the Tennessee QB they just drafted, already talking tight end. To me, I hate to see it, man, because it's like a backhanded slap in the face. You got rid of him in Chicago, I thought he was getting better, and we know he has a lot to do, but he hasn't had anything around him for shit to help him. Now all of a sudden you get rid of him, you're going to go back up Russ, and you're going to return kicks? Where are you at with that?
So I really, and I wholeheartedly believe this, that Mike Tomlin is the best coach in National Football League.
I agree with you.
If they put Justin Fields at kick returner, I would knock Mike Tomlin down a couple notches. That would be the most ludicrous thing I've ever been presented with in my football life. Joe Milton moving to tight end makes a lot of sense. Joe Milton was inaccurate in high school. He was inaccurate at Michigan. He was inaccurate at Tennessee. So him changing position, especially with the success Logan Thomas had doing it, they're kind of the same player.
Don't they got Cordell Patterson too?
I think so. Yeah, I think they brought Cordell in, yeah. If Justin Fields, I'm just telling you, and I'm a big Mike Tomlin fan. Shout out to all the noobs out there. he'll drop down a couple pegs because Fields should be somewhere starting at quarterback.
In this league and landscape, I agree. Like the way the watered down QB market is, I don't know. That's crazy to me. Jeff, what do you think?
Yeah, why don't we just put him at corner too? I mean, maybe he can play that. I mean, listen, I'm all for a guy like, you've seen in college occasion where a guy will play both sides, but you have a quarterback who might return kick. Shaun is dead right.
Shaun, he returns a 45-yard kick return, which I have no doubt about him doing in the league. I think he'll hit it and go. I think he could do it, and I would love to see him do it, but I don't want to see him do it.
I just have to address though, Shaun. Listen, Shaun might know more about football than I'll forget about. Okay, I'm a gambler, right? But I have to ask. I mean, Mike Tomlin. I mean, is there anybody that's wore out his welcome long? I mean, when the fuck has he won last? Mike Tomlin won a Super Bowl 15 years ago.
Hold on.
If he's any other coach, he's fired.
Hold on a second now. Hold on. Mike Tomlin gets more out of less than any coach in the National Football League.
But
have you seen these bums they've been putting at quarterback?
But you're the head coach. Go out and get a better one. Go help your organization get a better coach or a better quarterback.
He's a defensive guy. You got to help defensive guys evaluate quarterback.
But hold on. Let me just say, though, if he's any other coach, I mean, who's had a longer leash than him? I mean, he's been there for a long time.
Harbaugh.
What other coach do you know that's never been less than 500? So I'm trying to figure out when are the bad years you're talking about. The guy every year figures out how.
But going to the playoffs isn't that great a feat, though.
Shit. And Chicago.
Hey.
Okay, if getting to the playoffs is what you want as an organization, then I guess you're right.
Let me ask you.
Of mediocrity.
Here's my take, though. I had this argument with Smitty. Why don't Harbaugh take the same heat? When's the last time he won a Super Bowl? Same fucking year, a year later than Tomlin. And guess what? You got Lamar. If you gave Lamar to Pittsburgh, I would love to see what Tomlin did with him and that team and that dominant defensive mindset to run the football with Najee, play pass it with Lamar. Now with Patrick Queen on that side, oh fuck! See, that's what I think. I think Harbaugh gets a pass a lot of times and he's overstayed his welcome. If we're gonna be real, he ain't been back since when? He played his brother. So I don't know, man.
Coach, he's been a coach since 2007, Mike Tomlin. He has 8 playoff wins. 8.
What about Harbaugh? Look at him.
But Harbaugh's been in college for.
No. I'm talking about the Ravens.
For the
Ravens.
John. I was going to say. Okay,
look at John Harbaugh's stats. Look at John Harbaugh's stats. Same. I think he's even less playoff wins, or right around the same. I don't know.
Right.
But I mean, just look at Lamar's. Shaun got a call. Hold on. Look at Lamar's playoff record. Tells you right there. You almost have the same record as fucking Baker Mayfield.
But listen, if the qualification is you're just looking to get to the playoffs, and yes, Tomlin is a fine coach. He will get you to the playoffs and likely lose. But isn't some of the blame got to eventually go to him as to say why we don't have a quarterback, why a quarterback hasn't worked here? We've drafted Kenny Pickett. We've drafted Mason Rudolph. We've drafted all these guys, and none of them have done fuck all.
Yeah,
and then we're in this sad.
I just think that it's probably even stronger where you are because it's in the same state, the noise. But I look at it like we could ask the same thing about a lot of these guys. Like Lamar Jackson, you arguably have the MVP, 2-time MVP, and yet he has 2 playoff wins in 7 years.
Let's just focus with Tomlin in the last 6 years. He has failed to get to the playoffs in 3 of those years. And in the playoffs that he's gotten to, he's lost in the wild card game. And I think on average, they were by 21 points a game. So for the last 6 years, he has not been a relatively good coach in the NFL. That's just a fact. What he's done before that, look, historically, good. He's won a Super Bowl. That was a long time ago, though. And that's just the truth. And any other coach would have been fired by now.
But look at the thing. The fact of the matter is,
he's Doc Rivers.
Yep. But look at Belichick. Without Tom Brady, what'd he do? Look at without Roethlisberger. What has he done?
Is he any different than Doc Rivers, though?
Absolutely.
Is he? He won a title, and he hasn't done shit. Shaun, over the last 6 years, okay, he hasn't gotten to the playoffs in 3 of those years. And in the 3 years that he got there, he lost every wildcard game on average by 21 or more points. That's just the truth.
Let me ask you a question. How many of these games was Tomlin favored, where Pittsburgh had the better team?
Probably none.
They are right. Like he's been
so if just getting to the playoffs is your goal, then he's
they've
won.
been overachieving because of Mike. The deck's been stacked against them.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Their offenses have been shit.
Right.
So isn't that the coach's issue?
No, it's organizational thing. They stood by Big Ben too long, and they mismanaged the transition from Big Ben to the next person.
Jeff, it's the same argument you have on this show when you come on and talk about Sirianni's the next guy fired if he don't win. Isn't he an offensive guy who's hired a horrible offensive crew? Now they got a new coordinator. It's the same thing. You just said yesterday you could see him being outed in Philly if they don't win.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
The expectations here are, I think, differently in there for whatever reason. I guess for them, just get into the playoffs and having modicum success is the goal. But they're never a team we go out and say, wow, they're a Super Bowl favorite. That was 15 years ago where we last regarded them as an actual power in the NFL. And I just think they've kept him there too long. That's all. And I think he is someone that we negate to blame ever. I don't know why, but he's never blamed for anything. When the same coaches that do similar things to him, they get blamed.
Because the people that know the quality of Coach Mike Tomlin is.
Yeah. The inner workings, Jeff.
And I would agree. I think John Harbaugh's word out his welcome as well. I don't disagree with you there. I think some of these long-time guys that have been there that haven't won anything in a long – but again, I'll still try to argue how he's not – these guys aren't like Doc Rivers. They're the same type of coach. They win once with like really good teams, and then they don't do shit the rest of their career, and they continue to get jobs everywhere.
But I feel like Doc Rivers has been on some damn good teams that have underachieved. I'm still looking for the Pittsburgh team that underachieved.
So
I mean, all these teams under Tomlin are overachieving.
Is Tomlin a guy you just never fire then? Because if you don't, like,
hell no. When you get a coach like Mike Tomlin, hell no, you don't fire him. The one thing the common football fan doesn't understand. Sometimes, hell, the passionate football fan doesn't understand. It's hard as hell to win a Super Bowl. That cannot be your baseline for why you fire or hire a coach.
Agreed.
Because, I mean, unless you just get lightning in a bottle and you catch the little light-skinned kid from Texas Tech who's in Lubbock throwing the ball around and he turns into, Jesus in person, I mean, it's hard to win.
Yeah, but it's weird how that always happens with the really good coaches, though. If you ever notice that.
Well,
they always seem to get those players.
By your criteria, then Shanahan should be fired in San Francisco because they ain't won shit.
You probably should.
I advocate for that every day. I think he's the most overrated. See, I think if you put Tomlin in Frisco, they got 2 bowls already.
Andy Reid is the best coach in the NFL, and it's not close.
But again, we can argue. We go back and forth. I think he is too. I think he's the best offensive-minded coach, no question. Here's the issue I have, though. Like, we argue all these times, but he couldn't. To Shaun's point, and I'm being devil's advocate. He couldn't get over the hump in Philly without the quarterback.
I was going to say, how many Super Bowls does Andy Reid have as a head coach without Patrick Mahomes as a quarterback?
Yeah, none.
You don't have any. But how many Super Bowls does Mike Tomlin have without Ben Roethlisberger? None.
Saying,
he doesn't even have any playoff wins.
But that's the point.
Andy Reid wasn't a bad coach in Philly.
No.
He was a good coach in Philly, too.
Every quarterback thrived under him. Every quarterback thrived.
Yes.
He got Michael Vick a $100 million contract after the Pitbull incident. So Andy Reid is no doubt about it. But look at what Belichick won without Brady. I'm just saying we could always it takes both. And I don't know. Like, here's my thing. This is my last take before we move on to this. Jeff, the problem is back to the whole female thing. If we get rid of Mike Tomlin in a men's league, if we get rid of Mike Tomlin who's a men's coach, who the men look to and revere and respect, look at what is riddled on our sidelines. We got the Mike McDaniels vaping and fucking capri shorts. Like, the NFL is becoming this type of coach. We can't get rid of Tomlin just for the simple fact that we don't have any more Belichick's Parcells, Tomlins roaming the sideline. No Bill Cowers. We don't have them no more. It's becoming this new analytical fucking league where the kids don't really respect the coach.
So would you agree? So would you agree that both you guys that Pat or Pete Carroll shouldn't have been fired then?
Fuck no. I think Pete Carroll should be coaching somewhere all day long.
He's because again, similar old school guy, won one Super Bowl. He's been always relevant. Leader of men. People like him a lot. You know,
and it's not even about like there's people that don't like Tomlin, but they'll fucking respect that motherfucker.
And wasn't Pete Carroll, wasn't that more of like a control behind the scenes, like who's in power, like on the management side thing?
Father
than
figure.
It was like he wasn't succeeding as a coach.
Yeah, I thought he should have stayed. And you know what I don't like is what's happened there since he's left. And I have a great insight there. That this new guy came over from Baltimore, and I'm going to have Patrick Queen. Patrick Queen's been on 3 or 4 times. I'm going to have him on again soon. And I'm going to ask him about him because he likes the DC that took the job. A first-time head coach, again, another first-time head coach. He's got rid of everything Pete Carroll did in that office, in that facility. And I just think, again, we're back to this young coach who pays no homage to the forefathers and to the guys that have allowed you to be in this business, to be honest, and get the money that you're getting paid. For you to take down the Super Bowl championship trophy, all the Legion of Boom shit. I heard he's absolutely just wiped the facility out of anything Pete Carroll did. To me, Mike McDonald is a real, I don't know what it is. I don't know what he is yet. But to me, I would have done, you got to keep some history there. Like when I leave a job, Shaun, and you don't take the fucking trophy that you won for the bowl game. I didn't take the bowl game championship trophy with me, and I left all the video there. I could have been an asshole. You leave that shit. You leave certain things in places. This is what it's a revolving door. This is a recyclable business, and I don't understand wiping down the facility because whatever reason. I get you want to put your stamp on it. But, dog, there's a history on that stamp as well. And this guy went to 2 Super Bowls, probably should have won both, but won one, which you are far, far away from doing, my brother. Let's dive into college football real quick, Shaun, before you get out of here. Poll question today was, if you haven't heard, Kirby Smart signed the largest contract ever. He got $13 million a year, $130 million. Worth it or not?
100% worth it. When Kirby Smart got to Georgia, they weren't even considered like anywhere near the level of Alabama and Clemson and Ohio State at the time. And he is not only caught, but in my opinion, surpassed. I think Georgia's the preeminent college football program in the country, to the extent where a lot of people feel like if they had gotten in the college football playoff last year, they would have won another national championship.
Yeah, I agree. So let me ask you this. If in this day and age, Jeff and I started the show off with this. Nick Saban's out. Urban Meyer's out. Those two had multiple titles, and Pete Carroll's out, obviously, the third guy with multiple titles in this era, in the last 20 years. Now you have Dabo, you have Kirby, and Harbaugh's out after one. Who is really worth this big amount of money? Because listen, I'm good friends with James Franklin. Every time a job comes open, his name's mentioned, but yet he is not even sniffed, little less a college playoff, a national championship. Jimbo Fisher, in my opinion, one of the most overrated, most overpaid, overhyped guys in college football. Again, he only got a job, won a natty on a team he inherited by my man who runs the show there in Florida State. What's my man, the D-line with the scars on his face? Who's
Odell?
Odell, who's been the talent getter there since my boy Travis Johnson played there. And then who really is worth the money they're getting? I say Dabo because he has 2, Kirby because he has 2, and right now, who really deserves that money? I believe if they were to play Michigan again and Harbaugh stayed, he would have been fired next year. But now Harbaugh leaving, just a stay of execution has been handed out today. I think Day now gets another 2 years in Ohio State. I think he's underachieved big time. Sark and Lane have yet to sniff it. Sark's turning it. But again, those guys are highly paid, and I'm boys with both of those guys, but they haven't sniffed it yet. Who's really worth it? Who's really worth it? Not earned it or not deserving, but who is worth it?
I mean, it's kind of like a unanswerable question, like in some ways, because you're worth whatever somebody's willing to pay you.
That's Smitty's take. I get it. Yeah.
You know, like, and at the end of the day, what it comes down to, you mentioned Franklin at Penn State. Every time he flirts with another job, guess what happens behind the scenes at Penn State? He gets a raise. So it really comes down to where you're at, how much are they willing to pay to keep you? You know, at the end of the day, like Ole Miss, to me, like Lane is one of the best coaches in the country. Everywhere Lane goes, they win. It's undeniable that he can coach. Sark, the biggest thing Sarkis did is made Texas relevant. Now, they hadn't got across the hump yet, but at least they're back to winning Big 12 championships. They made the college football playoff. We'll see if they're ready for this hornet's nest that's the SEC this year. But, I mean, he's got them back being relevant. And they're
back in the blue blood conversation of college football, right?
Right. And again, the amount of support that those programs have justifies what they pay the head coach. I mean, that's a big – for anybody that thinks like being the head coach at Texas or Ohio State is easy, man, you don't get any sleep. That's a hell of a job. I'm not going to lie.
Did Ryan Day hire his
replacement?
Predecessor?
I don't think so. I think Chuck Kelly is like a acquired taste from what I've heard. I don't think every AD is going to like gravitate to Chip in some of the unique ways that he approaches, you know, coaching. I just think Chip wanted to get out of the work that goes with being somewhere like UCLA.
You don't want to deal with the NIL.
Ball.
Yeah. You don't want to deal with the NIL. No question about it. So let me ask you, staying on this topic, you got 5 minutes?
Yeah, I got as much as you need.
All right, so let me ask you, the antitrust law has kicked in. The NCAA has come out. I don't know if you're abreast to everything that's happened the last few days this week. As of last night, it came out that they could pay $2.7 billion in antitrust suits, which again, to me, is another way to wipe your hands clean. $2.7 billion amongst 50,000 student football playing athletes, to me, is probably a small to decent check. It ain't going to make nobody rich. But again, is this the all-inclusive revenue sharing that it is turning into being? Because it seems like they're going to try to get revenue sharing now as a salary equivalent to the NFL. So now you're going to get a revenue share, which is your salary, and then NIL, which will now be what it was originally designed to do, name, image, and likeness, go out and market yourself to see if you can get different deals. Now the NIL will not be the collective, the main source of income. It'll be revenue sharing. And now you'll probably unionize, which University of Alabama, Birmingham, and Trent Dilfer just was the first team to do so. Their entire team is now with a players association. And so now it's becoming a really, really slippery slope, in my opinion. Matt and I argued this. I don't know what side I'm on yet because I have to see more literature on it. You and I both know, man, this is the most entitled generation of players that we've ever seen. And I think this is just furthering entitling them, enabling them to think this is fully player empowerment driven. These guys are making more than most position coaches will make that coach them. And I just don't know, in hierarchy standpoint, how this is conducive for success.
Here's why I would advise the players to be careful. The culture around college football, yeah, there was some exploitation. Yeah, you probably did not, on the financial side, get what you deserved, to put it simply. But you also are considered a student athlete. And as long as you didn't get in trouble and you went to class, you know what? They were going to honor their commitment to get you a degree and get you started on life. When you start unionizing and stuff, now you're becoming an employee. Employees get fired. Like if you hire an employee to do a job and they're not good at doing that job, guess what the company does? They fire you. So they just got to be careful. You can't have it both ways. You know, so I don't want to hear, coach don't like me, I didn't do anything wrong, but you weren't the player that they anticipated, and now you're out on the streets trying to figure out how you're going to get a degree. There's a give and a take with becoming employees as opposed to being student athletes.
And also, are we opening Pandora's box, Shaun, Jeff? Like, if we're going to be employees of the school, especially at a private school in a state that doesn't have to verify or relinquish their income, like a Penn State, like a USC. We know it's public record because of what the coaches are making, but really, though, Penn State never relinquished Joe Pa's salary, contrary to people's belief out there. And we don't know what he made. I heard it was ridiculous back in the 90s. So if I'm saying that I'm now part of a state's employees' record books, can't they take sick leave? Can't they don't they have to pay taxes? I'm trying to figure out. We haven't discussed half the shit that's going to really go into this. And I agree. Players better be careful and understand what they're buying into here. Be careful what you ask for on some occasions. Look at Prime, Shaun. They're firing dudes left and right now.
Prime is running the Colorado football program like a business.
Yep.
He is.
Yep.
100%. And the players, they better take notice. Because when that happens, which, I mean, to each his own. I don't care how he runs it or how a guy runs his program. That's their decision. Then you got to know that that's what you're signing up for. So you better be damn good at football if you think you're going in there to stay.
There's no more student involved, in my opinion.
Right.
Student athlete's gone. It's athlete. It's athlete. It's professional. It's a semi-professional. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know, man, where we are right now. I'm hearing some things coming out of there that some kids are being asked to leave, and that's happening in other programs as well. Let's be clear. It's happening everywhere. This is not a jab at just Deion in Colorado. I want to be clear. Is it a bad thing the way that shit's operating, though, when we're asking guys that could try to get into a new program, when we're asking them right now in May, spring ball's ending, semesters are ending across the country, what have we really done for the kid? This is still a kid's business. This is that's our blood life, Shaun, as coaches and programs. The kids play the game, not us. We need that blood life. We need those players. So if I'm going to start robbing Peter to pay Paul, so Deion on one side of his mouth can say these kids aren't competitive, they don't want to compete, they can't get yelled at, so we're getting rid of you. But yet we're bringing in the same players that just got kicked out of another school for the same reason, meaning it makes no sense to me. Where are we at when we're cutting guys in May and saying, all right, sorry, you didn't make it? They can't get into another program. Now they're sitting in the portal. There's 4,000 kids in the portal as of this morning.
But that's what they asked for, JB. They wanted NIL. They wanted transfer portal. Now they got it. Now you got to deal with the other side of having that available. If guys make a bad evaluation, they don't have to stick to any kind of commitment they have with you. And that's, you wanted to be a big boy. Now you got to put your big boy pants on and deal with big boy repercussions and consequences.
Yeah, I agree. I said the same thing. I've been, I harp on the kids' lack of competitive spirit for the last 5, 6, 7 years. Like, it's becoming worse and worse and worse. And now we're in a pay-for-play era where it's professional football. I just don't know if it's conducive for 17.
And JB, it does suck because organically, college sports is supposed to be, we get talent from the high school level, we bring it in. None of it's really ready to contribute initially anyway. Most successful college sports teams, you don't have a bunch of incoming freshmen that are contributing, no matter what the sport is. You might have one that's just big time or two that are backups, but you're supposed to grow and develop. So by the time you become redshirt juniors or redshirt seniors, now you get the little captain thing because you fought through adversity, you stayed in the program, you've worked your butt off. Now you got a lot of experience, you're physically mature, and you graduate and got a bunch of great memories about the things that you accomplished with your teammates. And then for the rest of your life, you can come back to that university and have pride about, what we were able to get done over a 4 or 5 year window. And organically, that's how college sports is supposed to be.
And where you got that degree from? Where you got that degree from? Nowadays, Jeff went to Alabama, and Jeff went to Oregon, and Jeff went to Florida State. I'm like, Jeff, what school are you claiming, dog? Here's the thing.
One of the biggest deliveries you get in the locker room in football is when your equipment guy sends you that yearly package of stuff so you can rep your university, in the locker room. And those days are gone. I mean, cats are moving. I don't know who graduated from where. Cats just jumping around. Who knows?
And here's my biggest gripe, because I am a player defender, because I'm ultimately a player's coach at the end of the day, because that's our blood life. Players only know. See, this is my issue with what is going on. 17 to 21-year-olds, we could say that they want this, they asked for this, but players and kids from 17 to 21, as much as you want to call them grown men and all this out there, everybody out there wanting to call them grown men, I am not on that side of things. I don't believe they're grown men until they put a kid through college and pay a fucking mortgage. I don't care how much money they get at 17 to 21. If you just throw any of us a bag and we stumbled upon a bag in the street, guess what we're doing? We're keeping that bag and we're going to go spend it foolishly probably, because we're not adult enough to understand how to spend that money and make the right choice. I don't know if the grown men in the room have really addressed the issue, and do they really have the players' best interests at heart? Because players only know what they know and don't know what they don't know. And I don't mean players. I mean 17 to 21-year-olds, period, in the world. We're setting them up to fail, and I just think I'm ashamed at times of the adult in the room, because it is it's very slippery slope. I just see this. The kids have always been a piece of meat, Shaun. You and I were pieces of meat, and it was always a meat market, no question. But it was a different sort of meat market. It was a cream rises to the top meat market, meaning I can fight through the politics of your program and your coach who kissed my ass in my house with my parents when she made you dinner and you sold me to come here. Fine and dandy. And then you walk right by me on campus as if you never knew me. We've all been there. All right, I see this is a cold game. Okay. But now it's a completely different cold game. And I believe it's because the coaches in the room are really just saying, hey, dog, fend for yourself. We're not teaching you shit. I'm going to teach you 4 different things in 4 years because you've been to 4 different coaches with 4 different ideologies and 4 different philosophies. How is that kid getting developed and better? And why are we seeing the NFL product hit a rock bottom, in my opinion, especially at the quarterback position? It's watered down because we have no more teaching and fundamentals at the most influential level, college.
And I mean, I will defend the coaches from this standpoint. You know how frustrating it got to be to have to do an intro meeting every semester with a whole room full of new guys.
Yeah, 30 days. Yeah.
I mean, that's got to just be Jesus Christ. Like, man.
I've been saying it. There's no way you can build a culture anymore. There's no way.
That's why you see a lot of college coaches trying their damnedest to get to the NFL. They're trying to leave.
Guy Haney at Boston College just bounced. You don't see a guy leaving a $5 million Power 5 head coaching job to go to be a position coach or a DC in NFL. They're not even making. They're making maybe 1.2 million at the top. They're not making 5-6 million as a head coach in Power 5. This is what I'm saying. They're like, I'm risking to waste $3 million to have a peace of mind.
Absolutely.
And that's crazy to me. Shaun, as always, man. Who you got tonight? Dallas wrapping it up versus the Clippers, or and then Cleveland, Orlando.
So I'm a Magic fan. I go with all the home teams. I'm from St. Pete, Florida, so I'm hoping Paolo can have a big game, and we can find a way to score enough points to win a game and take this thing to 7. We play good at home, so I'm going Magic to hold home court tonight. And
all right, hold your thought on that. Jeff, chime in with the betting on that game.
I mean, look, I think he's right. I think the Magic even it up here. They're a 3.5-point favorite, which is a bit high. I mean, these games are close. They come down to the wire a lot of time, like the other night. Banchero at times has to be. He is the guy, but at times takes some bad shots, I've noticed. But again, that's just a young team. They do what they do. I actually lean Magic. I didn't bet the game. I did bet the other game though.
All right, Clippers, Shaun, are they going to just be the JV team in LA?
I don't know what the hell going on with the Clippers, man. They show up one game, they don't show up the next. Like, Kyrie goes for like 40+ and Dallas loses. Then they win by 20. Kyrie doesn't even score 20. Like, I don't have a good feel for that series. The games have been entertaining, so I watch. So I won't be involved unless Jeff gives me something that kind of piques my interest here.
Well, I've been on the over the last couple of games in this series. I've been on overs a lot in these playoffs. We saw the first couple of games be lower scoring, but these teams kind of figure each other out. Last 2 games went over in this series. This number's been bet up a point already. I took the over in this game, over 207.5. Obviously, you lose a Kawhi, you lose his defensive prowess, but the Mavs can score. We know that. I think I like the over in this game. I've been backing the over in the series. I'm going to go back to the well again tonight.
Real quick, Shaun, we got to get your take so we can bet. We can put them in the betting in our Winnable app for everybody. The UFL. The UFL is this Saturday, and it's football in the spring. There's a team that's winning and doing their thing. The Bob Stoops-led team that won it all last year at Arlington is struggling. But this week, tomorrow, Birmingham plays Memphis, and then Houston plays St. Louis. I'm taking Birmingham. Obviously, they're the best team. It looks like, and I'm taking St. Louis. Houston is struggling this year. I don't know if you've even watched it or anything, but do you have any take at all on any of that?
I've seen the same amount of UFL as I have Boston Orchestra over the last month, so absolutely zero. I do got friends, so if Reggie Barlow or Anthony Beck's team were playing, those are my guys. Bet them.
They're playing Sunday. Reggie Barlow's been on this show. He's a good friend of mine as well. He hired a coach of mine from Indy to help out there in D.C. I am taking D.C. on Sunday against San Antonio, and I'm also taking Michigan to beat Arlington, the Stoops-led team. Seems like Stoops is also another guy. If I thought Stoops had an agent worth a shit, which he does, he'd get back into college. There's clearly he doesn't want any part of it. He'd rather coach in the UFL, make $500,000 a year, great money for guys just playing in a spring league. He wants no part of it either. That just tells you kind of what's going on in college. But Shaun, we'll see you next week. We'll dive into the new playoff series that start next week as well. Minnesota, Denver tomorrow, I believe, kickoff or tip-off. And that's going to be an interesting series, in my opinion. Minnesota's young and feisty on D. And the Pacers and the Knicks, I like that series as well because I got the Knicks actually going against the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals and giving them a shot.
I do got this. Canelo by stoppage on Saturday.
Oh, Steve Kidd will be here. We're gonna play poker and watch the fight Saturday. You seen Canelo De La Hoya going at it?
Yeah, I saw that. They always beefing about something. Lovers quarrel.
Money. All right, Shaun, I appreciate you. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.
All right, Matt. Jeff, let's end the show on a few little things here. Real quick. I got some questions for Jeff. Some interesting ones.
Let's do Kentucky Derby too.
Yeah, let's start with the Kentucky Derby. Bailey, if you can bring it up, we got Kentucky Derby tomorrow. It's always the week before Mother's Day. Shout out to all the mothers out there. Next weekend, Sunday the 12th is Mother's Day. So make sure you prep that now if you don't know. And if you don't know, then you're a shitbird son. So make sure you go talk and get acclimated to your mom. Prep it. You got a week to prep it. Kentucky Derby is a big one, Jeff. I actually happened to go one year. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable as far as the atmosphere. Give us the breakdown. If Bailey could pull up the odds or the horses, if we could get that. But dive into it, Jeff. Yeah. You're better on this horse stuff. I don't know much.
Yeah, so obviously every horse, you want to look deep into, but you're obviously going to see your favorites, your tier 1 horses, your kind of mid-tier horses, and then the horses obviously in the odds show that as well. Fierceness is your favorite. I think he's going to close under 2-1. I think he's like 8-5, 9-5 in that sort of range, which is, I think, a little crazy for this horse. Look, if he gets out to the lead, he's going to be very difficult to catch. He's definitely deserving of being the favorite, but he's an inconsistent horse. His start is very important. If he gets bumped with 22 horses in this race, if he gets bumped, he generally can't recover. He's not really a late closer. He's got to have the lead. You look at his inconsistency too. This horse is, I think, 1-3 and lost 3 over his last 6. His owner, Mike Rapoli, has never won a Kentucky Derby. He's 0-7 all time. My thought is, I think this horse gets scratched. And if you don't know what that means he gets pulled from the race. This horse has some hoof issues from what I understand, and his owner, Mike Rapoli, has had some licensing problems. Something tells me this horse gets scratched. That said, is he the best horse in this race? Absolutely. Sierra Leone is your other favorite. I think he's a little bit more interesting to me as far as other than fierceness. Sierra Leone's a horse that doesn't necessarily need an absolutely electric start. He's a horse that's going to come from behind. He likes to close late. Strong horse, good connections. He's a horse that I like a little bit more. You're going to get a better price. Forever Young, I'm not backing. I have no interest in Japanese horses. They've never won. In fact, they've never finished better than 5th in this race. You have to understand, think of it like an athlete. He's a Japanese horse. Last raced in Dubai. That's a long trip to make. Very difficult for a horse. You have kind of customs issues, that sort of thing. It's not an easy thing to do. That horse at 8-1, kind of a lukewarm horse to me. Not interested. A couple other thoughts. Mystic Dan, if you get the right weather, the 3, Mystic Dan, if it's rainy, it's a wet track, Mystic Dan seems to like the wet track. Last race out at Oaklawn, it rained. He was very effective in this race. That said, if it's clear, I don't think he has a shot. It's all going to be really about the weather. 2 other horses that I'm going to personally wager on. I think Dornoch. His odds are way too high. Way too high. Dornoch, to me, should be more in the range of like 10-1. He's up towards 20-1. And the reason for that is Dornoch had won 4 straight races. Coming into his last race, it just wasn't a real good race for him. He didn't do well. Occasionally have a down race. That was Dornoch. Dornoch is a big hawking horse, gigantic horse, good connections under Danny Gargan. I think Dornoch, the odds are just too high. He needs to be more towards the 10-1. Dornoch has been extremely consistent up until the last race. And remember, this is a horse that's beaten Sierra Leone already, beat him. He's a good, just solid horse. Final horse I'm going to mention, and this is your price pick, 30-1-ish. Just Steel, the 6 horse, under D.W. Lucas. D.W. Lucas is 88 years old, been around this business a very long time. Just Steel is a Justify horse. His father is Justify, Triple Crown winner, really good pedigree. And you also look at Just Steel. This is a horse who really at every level can win many different ways. He's got a good finish figure. He can come late. He can have a good start. And he's not going to be your lead horse. He's going to be right off the lead, right? He's just going to be in a good stalking position. You don't want to get kind of bundled up because there's too many horses. I think he's a horse that could surprise here. I think he has all the ability, all the pedigree. The best horse in this race to me, I would look towards the Sierra Leone. But I think Dornoch, Just Steel, I think they're all going to be in a good position here.
I'm going to bet Just Steel. I like that pick. So all right, we're going to put that on winnable for all you guys that want.
I will say again, I definitely think if you're looking at like trifectas, superfectas, you have to mix and match. And that's all horse racing is. It's finding the right bet that works for you. I'll just say it right now. Superfectas are incredibly hard to hit. My advice is stay with exactas and use boxed situations. A box situation is an exacta box is you pick 4 or 5 horses, and it doesn't matter how they win as long as they come in first and second. Trifectas and supers are really hard to hit. And if you're going to do them, you obviously want to box them. I'm more of a pick 4, pick 5 type of guy, picking an amount of horses in each race and moving to the next. Horse racing is really hard, and it's not for the faint of heart. You know, obviously you have to understand what you're betting, first of all.
Great insight like no one else. Shout out to you for that. All right, let's dive into some Ask Jeff Anything. So I put out on Instagram, I got some questions for you. All right, here we go. Jeff Nadu, what is your dream destination with a woman of your choice?
Wow, it's a tough one. There's so many beautiful places on the planet right now.
Is it the woman that's more important or the destination?
Oh, I think both. I mean, obviously, if you're going to travel with someone, you have to have someone you want to be with for multiple days, someone who likes to have a good time, isn't too worried about what's going on at home. I want a woman with no kids. I don't want her having to worry about other things. She may have to leave because her kid gets sick. I want the focus to be on the vacation and what we're up to. That said, I would be going to the Seychelles. It's an island off of East Africa. It's incredibly beautiful. It's just an insanely pretty place. It's really in the middle of nowhere. It's coral reefs. It's natural reserves. It's just beautiful. They've got rainforests. They've got the white sandy beaches, and it's a place nobody goes. I really don't have any interest in going to places everybody goes. I want to go to the places nobody goes, and the Seychelles are just a beautiful place that have very few inhabitants.
I would say I would go Greece.
Everybody goes to Greece, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, I just like Greece. I've had too many. I had a chance to go when I was in Amsterdam playing years ago, and I didn't get a chance. Sweden also. I've been there. Sweden is unbelievable. The Alps.
I think it really depends on the women too. If you're with a woman that likes to have a fun time, she likes to go out. Obviously, like Greece is fine. The Spanish islands, the Balearics, they're called. So, for instance, like Ibiza, places like that, you can have a great club atmosphere. It's fun. It really depends what kind of woman you have.
Yeah.
They're all
right. Here we go. What is the first thing you do, Jeff, if you won the lottery tonight?
How much are we talking?
300 mil mega, 250 power.
First thing I'm doing, wow. I don't think we're ever quite prepared for stuff like that. I think it would be preparing to not have a heart attack. I mean, that's unbelievable money. I would probably first go to my mother's house. Obviously, you go to your parents for advice a lot of the time. And as you guys know, I only have my mom. So I would go to my mom. I would sit down and we would, obviously get in touch with the right financial people, obviously not talking, hiring lawyers. And I would plan it out. You wouldn't hear from me. I would contact my friends and people that are close to me, people like yourself that I do shows with, and just kind of say, hey, I'm not going to be around for a couple of days. I'll be in touch and I'll let you know. I think it's about preparing your emotions for that. I don't know that I can ever prepare for that, though. But once it all shakes clear and I have my money, I would buy the purchase, I'm not a big jewelry guy. I would keep the same gold necklace. Wouldn't mean much to me. I'd probably just start buying companies, building the wealth with it and doing things that I want to do. I'd buy a home at the Jersey Shore. I mean, I love the Jersey Shore. I think it's the best place on the planet. I'd probably buy a home overseas. But your life still has to have meaning, and I would want to help people. I would help kids. I've always wanted to help kids. I think improving society for young people is important, so I'd want to do a lot with that. I'm a giving guy, so someone with that amount of money, I would want to help people, and not my family doesn't need my money. I would want to help people that need it, truly need it.
I would throw my cell phone into the water somewhere and never see me again.
Yeah. The first couple of days are going to be the toughest, and again, we know the society we live in. It's very, if I can't have it, the ticket would immediately have to be like stockpiled somewhere, I'm
buying a private jet too, and I'm going to be fucking moving.
A jet would be a must buy for sure. A chef. I've always wanted a chef, right? That I could just say, hey, make me this. Enrich my life, right?
Would you hire a chef to help you learn how to cook better,
No.
and then, or you would have it? See, I think it's a waste. I'd rather you cook myself for me, so it'd be different. But
I would have a chef that he lives on my property,
yeah,
right, like or very close to me, and he is his entire job is devoted to me, right? I also, another thing I would buy is, I think the ocean is such a beautiful place. Like I think it's an insane, like the ocean, if you think about it, it's just an insane thing.
That's why I'm here. That's why I'll never leave.
Big boat would be cool. Jet skis. Like I'd love to buy a not a huge yacht. Like I don't need that, but like a really huge boat.
Yeah. All right. Brass tacks. Let's get into some real questions here.
I'd actually hire you maybe as my chef.
You should. Here's some real questions. The last three here are real questions that no one else will answer and ask. What is the first thing Jeff Nadu does if he became president of the United States? First thing you do.
Wow, that's a great question. I think the first thing I'd probably do is we have to take a long, hard look at our criminal justice system and how we prosecute people. But I would look at very much legalizing the drug trade, cutting out the illegal system, because I think everything that we have in America comes from poor policing, which comes from bad policing, which comes from the drug trade. The drug trade has destroyed this country. It has made society very destructive. We have to address the generational problems. Why do people get to that point? It would be something we'd have to overtake and put a bunch of money into. But we would stop sending money to other countries and we would invest money in our own country. And this has worked in other countries. Now, I'm not going to do it ragtag like fucking Oregon's done it. I'm going to take it and make it a generational thing. We need to focus on ourselves as a generation. This is a problem in this country. It has destroyed this country, and we need to fix it. And what happens on the road is policing improves, quality of life improves for people. I would look into the drug trade immediately.
First thing I would do is eliminate social media first before I can change anything else. Not eliminate it per se forever, but I would cut it out for my first term to eliminate everything so people don't know how we're moving, to end up stopping some of the things we want to stop. As far as the drug trades, all those things, if I eliminate that, takes the eyes off a lot of things, and it eliminates the thought of what we're doing and how we're doing it, so we can clean that shit up. That's what be
also. I would also term limits. You can't be past a certain age and run for government.
Yeah. All right. How would you change homelessness in this country if you could?
Yeah, this was an idea my father had, and I remember he would always tell me this, and it seems like certain cities are starting to do it. One of the big issues that we see in communities, your community that you grew up in, places that I've lived, is homes in major cities. We have a real vacant home problem. There are vacant homes everywhere. They're just homes that sit there, and they whittle away and waste away, and they become shooting galleries for people. They become hubs for criminality. Why don't we buy up these homes? Okay, we have big people that have a bunch of money. We buy up these homes, we fix them up, and we put homeless in good positions to create jobs for them. There are a bunch of jobs that no one wants to do. Take them. If they follow the rules, they get to live in those homes. We have vacant homes that just sit there. Detroit, in LA, Philadelphia, Baltimore. There are Baltimore streets that have vacant homes on the entire street. We also need to address mental health and bring back psychiatric hospitals for people like that, because a lot of the people that are on the street have really deep mental issues, and we don't talk enough about that.
No doubt. Good one. All right. Here's the last one. We're in the show. How would Jeff Nadu address the uptick in crime by our youth in this country?
Well, I don't know if that can really be addressed in one little swoop. I mean, you would have to completely change the way society has become, because again, it's kids having kids. Kids don't care about anything. Kids that have to work. I mean, look at how important money is now. Mothers have to go out and work. Fathers are important. I don't think we talk enough about that. That is the biggest issue. Every father is important to the maturation and growth of their child. Generally, if you have a good father, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be a very good human being, or a quality, at least, human being. And that starts from the beginning. That's a generational problem that we have failed to address. How do you even address it, though? It would take so much undertaking. As far as the kids that are already out there, I think you have to address music, entertainment, how these people are viewing things, social media. And at the end of the day, though, Coach, as I said, you can't go into people's homes and say you have to parent your child. Okay? My parents could do all they could for me, but eventually I'm going to leave. And I just need to know that eventually I have to go home. And I have to know that the ethics they presented to me were the right things. And We don't have enough people doing that. We also don't have people like Dana. Those kinds of people are lost in society. We don't have them much anymore. I don't really know where we go with it. I think it's a lost cause. There's no parent that's a leader, no one that demands a household. You've mentioned it, Coach. Sitting down and having dinner, right? I look back at my own life, how so important that was. I owe my parents everything because I am one kid that listened to everyone but them. Little did they know, though, that I really did listen. And that's why my parents are so important to the growth of my life. And I'm sure for you and for a lot of other people.
Yeah, no question. Great answers to some great questions.
Think about all the people you know. Think about the shitbirds you know, and think about the good people you know. 9 times out of 10, the one reason the good people you know exist is because they had two parents, most notably a father. I look at all the friends that I have that don't have fathers. They all had similar outcomes.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting. Jeff, man, it's been a pleasure the last 2 days. Obviously, you're not going anywhere. We'll see you next week, especially after this weekend. Follow all of Jeff's picks, the Kentucky Derby picks plus the NBA. I'm rocking with the Mavs and Cleveland to wrap it up tonight, just because I think there's desperation because the other teams in the divisions have moved on. They don't want to extend this and have less rest. I think they got to play all balls to the wall tonight. So I'm taking Mavs and I'm taking Cleveland to wrap it up so they can get ready for the next series. And pleasure. It's been good. Appreciate you. And
well, thank you for having me. I always am here to co-host if you ever need me. I have 2 questions for you. I actually have 1 point, 1 question. Remember, chat, just because the United States and people do things doesn't mean you have to. Your house is your house. Keep the values you have alive in your own home. Hopefully, eventually, your kids will do the same things, and we can be the ones that are different. Because nowadays, this world, when we leave our house, it's way different. Number 2, I see your dogs in the background. Did they end up getting into the little pool eventually?
Yeah. They just don't like the water shooting out. They won't cross that threshold. By the way, there's some fucking idiot out there, Matt Walsh, I believe. Pretty big guy. I don't know. Is that his name? I went at him last night. There's a video out there in Philadelphia of a few pit bulls and attacking a guy, and the cop shot actually a dog that was not a pit bull. Cane Corso of all the. There was only 2 or 3 pit bulls in that out of 7 dogs in there, and then the first thing that's thrown out there is pit bull, worst dog in the world. Blah 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 blah. Ignorance is life threatening. I've raised them for 30 years. I've never had one attack another person unless it was warranted. And it's all about the environment. It's the same thing with humans. It's the same thing with wild animals. It's like telling a lion that 10 hyenas just jumped, hey, don't fight back. Just get eaten up. These dogs clearly came out of a bad situation. The first thing they saw, and that's not the dog's fault, by the way.
This goes back to parenting. Okay, every dog is just like a child. If you teach it how to do things, eventually that dog or child will grow up and, for the most part, be a good person. Same with a dog. A dog is an animal, but it's very human-like too. There's a lot of characteristics. If you grade your dog and you help your dog and you teach your dog, like your dog's very well behaved. It's not about the breed; it's about the owner.
It's 1,000%, man. It's unbelievable.
Because I'll tell you what, I've seen a lot of fucking crazy Rottweilers. I've seen a lot of crazy Doberman.
There's so many dogs. By the way, if people want to bring in the stats to this shit, and listen, I follow the Walsh guy because he actually has a lot of similar values as I do as far as other things in the world. But the dog thing is ignorant, and you can't be, proactive in a lot of other things and then not with dogs. To me, it's like, hold on. You guys are labeling a dog breed that we're trying to get rid of. Great Britain, by the way, is eliminating pit bulls. The whole country.
It's just an insane thing. And I want to end. I know we're about to leave. Can we please put a dog I sent? This dog, what a beautiful animal. Do you have this dog, Bailey? A coach will like this. He's seen this little fellow or little girl before. Do we have her there. You just got to see this if you haven't. What a beautiful! If I can find a dog like this, I will buy them tomorrow.
Here's the facts. I want to give the facts out there so people don't realize pit bulls are the best dog around kids in the world. It's a known fact. People just don't know it because they think that pit bulls have bitten kids and they're like, oh, this is the killer. No, it's how you raise them, you fucking moron. I wish the person that raised the dog to be an idiot actually would be put down instead of the dog. Number one. Number two, Dalmatians and Akitas are the single worst dog for humans and kids.
This dog right here is beautiful. I would love a dog like this. What a beautiful dog.
By the way, that's a mix. It's not a real pit.
It's so pretty.
It's mixed, contrary to belief. I know Dave got that dog and everything, and his platform and following has allowed that dog to benefit, I'm sure.
That dog is beautiful.
And he's doing great things. He's doing great things with the dog world. And so, it's unfortunate that people make ignorant statements about dogs. There's so
about
many
the dog owner.
Doberman Pinschers, some of the worst dogs in the world around.
German Shepherds.
German Shepherds bite more people than any dog. And then the little shit dogs, the little rat dogs, the Shih Tzus and all these, they bite more people than anybody. And people don't talk about it.
My brother had a little dog like that. That dog used to bite the fuck out of you. You go, it's like.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Akitas are the worst, though. People don't want to talk about it, how they look pretty. It is what it is. But pit bulls, in my opinion, are the best dogs in the world. Hey, Jeff, it's been a pleasure. I got to go drive 2 hours to our new studio and get the internet connected and measure the layout and see how we're going to develop the set there. I got a painter, a mural guy coming to see what we're going to paint on there and see how we're going to do some walls. So I'll be there.
Mural guy. I like murals.
Yeah, we're going to do that and make this thing a real set. So I'm headed there, but I appreciate you and good betting, happy hunting. And then we'll see you next Monday when we're back.
Have a great day, everybody. Enjoy your weekend.
All right, everybody. We'll see you guys Monday. Peace.
Issues get pressed so fast you don't get sacked like bags and baggage. Smitty and Jason Brown killed it, yeah, it's a wrap. We what the game's been missing, we switched it.